Hey, everybody. Hope that everyone's all right. A little bluish here, but we're outside enjoying the beautiful weather and doing a live show from the backyard. Hope the stream is going to hold up fine because I'm using mobile data from my smartphone. So hope that that's going to be okay. It should hold up. I did a few tests on 50 megabits. Yeah, I'm kind of bluish. It's kind of weird. Trying to I don't have any controls here over that. So we're gonna, this probably has to do with the background. Let me just do something here because it's, here is better, but that's kind of, well, that's the blue sky with the loop. That's a little better. There we go. We lost the blue. I think the camera needed to adjust itself for the colors. With the Texan H501X, that is on the W6LVP loop that's at the top there. So that's what's going to be driving the radio today. So this is going to be fine. Going to be nice. Hope sound and stream is going to be holding up today. So welcome everybody from this live show today. Let me just I'm going to readjust a few little things here. That's going to be okay. Put the chat on the right side of my screen here. Make things a little bigger for my old eyes. Oh, I think that's going to be nice to be outside with the radios, and got a few things to show you guys. I've got the little case, the silicone cases from Connicom. Look at that, guys. Good to old PL 368, 365, 360, GP5, and GP7 SSB. Really nice silicone. Really nice silicone casings here that they sell, and they actually sent me all three colors that they have. And we'll talk about the GP7 SSB, which is soon to be available also. And you might hear planes because planes are passing by. So if you hear a plane, yeah, that's totally possible. Okay, beautiful day today in Montreal. So temperature about 70, I say mid 70s, 75, 76 Fahrenheit. Pretty nice. Nice summer-ish day, even though we're going to have a we're in September. Sorry, I got distracted here. So my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and this is actually the backyard edition of the show where we are outside and are enjoying radio listening. The stream is twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 0 hours UTC Thursday, technically. And we are on Saturday at 20 hours UTC. That's 4 p.m. Eastern. And of course, I've got my vodka cranberry. So cheers, everybody. I don't know if there's a spot because I don't want to have it here. I'm going to change that here. And I'm going to put it on top of the barbecue. Here we go. Shouldn't be okay like that. So we talk about radio, shortwave radio, and any kind of radio, and have fun just enjoying our hobby, listening to the show. Before I forget, let's check the email. So in the email, we have Richard Limke. Nice to have you on board, Richard, from Alberta, Canada. And he says that the CIDX.ca site is down. I'm going to check that out. And we're, of course, going to have a lot of fun. So thanks for joining in through email, Richard. Nice to have you here. We also have Elizabeth saying hello from Regina, Saskatchewan. She says that she's looking forward for the show today. And we have an email from Jeffrey that is located in Western UK. And he says that he's enjoying the show. He's pretty new to it, and that he loves the way that things go, and that we talk about all sorts of subjects, mostly radio. But sometimes, yes, we do digress into other subjects like last Wednesday. Um, he has a question. Oh, that's okay. So he says, if you could mention how and what you listen to on a general listening session. So when you turn on your radio and you listen for an evening, what do you listen to? What are your favorite broadcasts? And how do you listen? Thanks for the answer. And he says, hello to everybody. So thank you, Jeffrey, in Western UK. And nice to have, we have a lot of people from the UK, by the way. So hope that everybody will find it cool today as we are outside and having fun. So we're going to keep that question for a little later. We are going to answer it. I'm going to, I get asked regularly, what do you listen to? How do you listen to it? In a typical session, what will you be listening to? What are your favorite broadcasts? That comes back regularly. So we're going to talk a little bit and say typical evenings. What do I listen to? And if I sit down and start listening to some broadcasts, what will be the broadcast I want to listen to? So that's going to be cool. So welcome everybody. There's a chat room. If you have a Gmail account, you can join in and say hello to everyone. And they are nice people that are here to help and that are really, really happy to have even more people join in and have fun with all of us. It's always cool to be here, and hope that everybody is, having fun with their radios. And it's cool to see the Facebook group also with all the people with their new radios and tuning around and having fun and trying things. And sometimes I post something that I'm listening to, and people will reply back of how they hear it, if it's good, where they are located, and so on. So it's pretty cool to have all of you here. So the Facebook group has the same name as this channel, official SWL channel. So this is always a fun place to be. And today, from the backyard in my location here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, on this beautiful Saturday, where I think a lot of people are enjoying it's here in North America. We have what we call Labor Day weekend, which is the first weekend of September. Typically, Labor Day weekend is that cutoff point. I think for most people, Labor Day weekend is that transition time from we are on vacation, summer vacation, to back to work, back to school, back to the regular life for the next few months, at least until Christmas. In September, you start thinking of all sorts of things. I was going at the dollar store this afternoon for a few things, and noticed that you finally, because about a week ago, they had a little bit of Halloween stuff, but now they have a full alley of Halloween stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, Halloween already. Okay, school has just started and Halloween is already here. So that's the things of this fall. Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here in Denver, Colorado. Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board, and says hello to Elizabeth. We have Jeff in New Hampshire. Nice to have you on board. John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. Ricardo, nice to have you on board from Portugal. Kamagzi 1976, nice to have you here from West Michigan. Charlie, W8CFO from Columbus, Ohio. Steve Miller, nice to have you on board from the west side of Arizona. Cool AM Radio, hey Andre, nice to have you on board, my friend. And always nice to have you here. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board from sunny central Georgia. We have, We're going to play that absolutely. Our friend Cooliam Radio. We're going to try to let's see if I can save link as. Is it going to save as? Yes, an MP3 file. I'm going to keep it here, and I'm going to save this, and we're going to keep. Here we go. So I downloaded the file for a little later. I think that's going to be nice to play. TVDXer, salut, oui, ça va bien. J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you here from real, just near Montreal, a little up north. Matt says, listening to my overnight recording of Radio New Zealand Saturday night. A request show aired on Radio New Zealand every Saturday from 7 to 12 UT. Cool. Richard, nice to have you on board. And says, glad you're back on a sunny, cool afternoon near Albany, New York. Cool. Shortwave listener, M6CIH or an MA3303SWL. Nice to have you here from Bolton, UK. PLF Radio, nice to have you on board. Bonjour et bienvenue depuis Lyon en France. J'espère que ça va bien et qu'il fait beau dans ton coin de pays. J'écoutais des radios amateurs sur le réseau D-Star ce matin, qui est un réseau qui contient plusieurs amateurs français qui se présentent sur le réseau québécois. C'est toujours agréable d'entendre. La plupart des Français avaient l'air à dire que c'était très beau dans ton coin ce week-end. Peut-être pas partout en France, que c'est quand même grand, mais il y avait quand même beaucoup de soleil et de beau temps dans les contacts français qu'on entendait ce matin. Bienvenue. Nice to have you here. Mick Holland, nice to have you on board, my friend. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Frank from the Netherlands. Jerry DX. Jeff loves this setup today. TVDXer also. Rob says, well, lots of chat in just under 2 minutes. PLF Radio, what are the boxes in orange, green, black, just about the Texan? Yeah, that's and we're going to talk about the GP7 SSB by Conicom, which is soon to arrive. It's apparently in boats that are crossing the ocean, so they hope to receive that in the next couple of weeks. Keegan, nice to have you here, XN80Xer from Northwest Arkansas. Jerry says, how's the antenna farm? It's okay. It's nice. Ricardo says, how cool, balcony edition. Tom DXer, nice to have you on board from the Hudson Valley, New York. WPE2QED. Yeah, you guys in New York got a lot of rain. I saw that pretty much all of the East Coast, New Jersey, everywhere. Stephen Wood, going to take the pledge and get my ham license. Any suggestions for an online study course? 45 unit. Nice to have you here from Florida. He missed the WBOB AM 600DX test last night. However, it probably wouldn't have been a challenge from here. Anyone received it? So here in Montreal, we do have a very strong 600 kilohertz station. So even when I tried to null as much as possible, it was still too strong. It was impossible. So here in Montreal, it was definitely impossible. But I had fun doing something with the DX test last night. I had fun getting up the East Coast and getting up in different SDRs and further away from the transmitter site to hear it at different places, which was a lot of fun, actually. The first one there was one in Athens, Georgia, that actually was receiving it super strong. And then I started going up. I went to like North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, and so on. Moved around the different states and tried different receivers. It was very, very interesting to see the different patterns. That's also where you see that all of these online Kiwi SDRs, you got to choose carefully. They're not all equal. Some are actually deaf compared to others. Some are very noisy compared to others. I noticed that quite a few of them actually were like almost deaf on medium wave due to the high noise levels. So it was kind of interesting, but it was fun to do. I can't hear it here, but at least you can hear it on some SDRs. Steve Miller, is the weather station hooked to the internet? Nope. This is a good old wireless weather station that transmits a burst of data every 30 seconds to my weather station up in my office. John Beckham says the weather looks beautiful out there. It is absolutely beautiful here in Montreal today. Absolutely. Richard Califano, nice to have you on board. We have Jim, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. We have Mick Holland says, I like those silicone protectors. Where do you get a hold of them? So to answer quickly, so these come from Conticom. So if you go to the website of Conticom in the United States, they actually now make these available in 3 colors. So there's the orange one, the green, very flashy one, and they have a black one available. They are great. They work well. They protect your radio really well. They are they're made of silicone, but they're also rated to be extremely tough, meaning that if you drop your radio, this truly will protect it as best as it can. So they are, I think I saw $7.99 on the CountyCom website. That CountyCom is the same company that sells the GP5, CountyCom GP5. And now they're actually going to have the GP7 SSB available in a couple of weeks. Actually, CountyCom Nick from CountyCom told me that as soon as the radios arrive, I will have a GP7 SSB heading my way. So I want to thank CountyCom for that. I do want to say that I got these free. So, I like them. They are very nice. But I do have to mention that I got them for free. But they are beautiful. And if you are looking for some, rubberized cases for these work with the Texan PL 360, 365, 368, and of course the CountyCom GP5 and the GP7 SSB to arrive soon, which is the Texan PL 368. It's going to be nice to check that out. So if you want to check those, pretty nice, pretty cool, and they do protect quite a lot. Well made to fit. So that you have access to the buttons, and it doesn't have they're thick, but they're not problematic to have access to the buttons. So this is nice, and of course you have access to the top with the antennas. So really cool. So CountyCom website is where you get these, and if you're looking for protection for your radio, and it slightly recesses the radio, so that means that when it falls or if it touches a surface, actually it's not going to scratch the screen, or so these are nice. And if you're the one that loses your radio all the time, the flashy green or orange one is probably the best bet. But if you want to be more conservative and have your a black radio, you can use the black one. So these are really nice. Wanted to show you guys, and I got these yesterday. Actually, I got them in the mail yesterday. Nick had told me that he had sent me the protective cases. So thank you, Nick, at CountyCom for that. And if you guys want to look at that, these are pretty cool. What else do we have? Keegan says, I have recordings of 600 WBOB Jacksonville, Florida DX test with sweeps, tones, and ID and Morse code. Cool. Matt says hello to Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan. And Keegan has recordings on his YouTube page for yesterday's DX test. A lot of people saying hello to Elizabeth, so it's nice to have you here. John Beckham, Radio Spain on 14855. Signal isn't as clear today. You mean 17855? I got it here, actually. It's a little weak right now. It's there, but it's not as strong as it is. not as strong it is always today, but 17,855 Spain. What else do we have? Everybody's saying hello to Jeffrey Solkoff in Ramona, California. Nice to have you here. Brad, nice to have you on board, my friend. Let me just go back down here because I lost a spot here. Okay, so we have Brad in Amarillo. Nice to have you here. Matt says just head up to Saturday evening, North American time, listeners to the mighty ABC broadcast on 0 UT, moving this weekend to 5960, which is probably a wise move because a lot of people didn't hear it last week. A lot of people didn't hear it last week, and we're kind of wondering why. We're going into September. This is pretty much, now we're pretty much into what is the in the northern hemisphere is pretty much what it looks like in the fall type of radio propagation. Shorter nights means that the maximum usable frequency actually drops more. So that could be one of the reasons why 9925 was not coming in very well. Southern hemisphere also in what there is spring-like conditions. So, we got to remember that in 17 days from now, we're going to be into fall. We're going to be at the equinox. So this is definitely, propagation changes fast at this time of the year. Shortwave listener Sakaraya, nice to have you on board from Turkey. Pretty cool. What does Jill do, says David. Listen to the radio. Paul, nice to have you on board from Southwest Michigan. Peter John Fetting, nice to have you on board, my friend, from South Africa. ZR6 PCF. Cool. Nice to have you here, my friend from South Africa. So, yep, it's the U.S. and Canada thing, which is kind of funny because most of the world kind of has their own Labor Day type celebrations on May 1st. But here in North America, we have to be different. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you here. WA0113SWL in Wentzville, Missouri. Nice to have you here. Matt says, I'd be irritated about all the Halloween stuff, except it's the only thing keeping Christmas stuff out of the stores. Well, the funniest part is in about a month, they're going to actually be sharing Christmas and Halloween, probably. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. When I was young, I'm trying to remember when I was young, it wasn't that early. I seem to remember the Halloween stuff was there, but starting early, the first week of October. But now it's like, wow, we're barely. I think 2 weeks ago was the first that I've seen. And 2 weeks ago, we're in August. We're still in summer. School wasn't even started yet. It's like, wow, back to school Halloween. I didn't see Halloween. I don't remember seeing Halloween stuff at any stores when we were going to buy the school stuff when I was young. Today it's crazy. And it's the same with, Christmas. It's crazy early already. Canadian Prairie Shortwave, nice to have you here from Calgary. Nikos official channel, nice to have you here from Greece. And says, hopefully get more serious members of your Facebook group. Cool. I forgot to play the other one. You sent me another one that I have in my email, and I totally forgot to play it. I need to brush up and put them in a folder. And it's like the one that you made for the International Radio Report. I kind of, because on the International Radio Report, the IDs, we have, several of them. So I go through a cycle. And when it's been a little while since, when I went through all the cycle, then I come back and I choose. So yours is playing from time to time. It played twice, I think, already. So from time to time, I just choose one and play it for the International Radio Report. And thanks for making these. They're very nice, by the way. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you on board from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada, 25 Celsius, which is roughly what we're having here. So you're having pretty much the same weather that we're having here, except here we're having a hell of a lot of wasps. Apparently, there's more this year, and they're really annoying. Bike DXer, nice to have you on board. The shortwave is so good. I listen almost every day. I always find different, interesting things on the airwaves. Never gets boring. Cool. What else do we have? Kevin, nice to have you on board. Says 1700 UT today. Heard Vatican Radio. First catch for me. Propagation was great last night, but I was also tired to enjoy it. 10 p.m. I was out cold. It happens. You know, when we try to listen sometimes in the evening and we're just real tired and you end up like, you know what, I'm just it's like, you know, you turn off the radio, it's like, I'm going to bed. You know, you want to, but you just can't. It's just like, no, too much. I gotta go to bed. Pirate on 6950 upper sideman. Let's try it here just to see if I'll hear anything on the Texan H501X. Nothing on the Texan H501X. So nothing here on the Texan H501X. It's a little early for Pirates. Sun is setting at, I mean, we've lost, what, an hour and a half of sunlight now in the evening. So it's sunsets around 7:30 p.m. PLF Radio, you're right. Weather is nice and it is cool. You get French hams. Yeah. Well, there's a D-Star net on 2-meter band in the Saturday mornings. And that D-Star net, which is called the Réseau Francophone des Stars. So it reaches, both Europeans that speak French and, of course, a lot of hams from the province of Quebec, but people from anywhere that speak French. And there's a lot of hams from France that actually check into the net every Saturday morning. And there's quite a few also from Switzerland. And it's kind of nice to listen to. You know, I'm not a fan of nets in general, but since I have the ICOM SCR30 that does receive D-Star, I find it kind of cool because, it's one of the rare D-Star things that I listen to on that radio. So, and that one comes in quite well on the ICOM ICR30. So often what I do is I wake up on Saturday morning and the first thing I do is turn on the ICR30 and sit down, read the news, and listen to the Réseau Francophone des Stars and hear all those stations from France, Switzerland, from Quebec, and different other places that are connecting. What else do we have? Jeff K, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania, N2ZNN. Pretty cool. We have Bike DXer says in the UK, 6945 kilohertz, Zeppelin radio, playing a lot of jazz. Tristan, nice to have you here from Newfoundland, where summer has left the building. Looking forward to a nice fall of shortwave listening. Cool. Archer's Autocrafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Spend the week battling pneumonia, but I won. Cool. Take care. And radio is great when we are sick. When we have something we don't feel great. Turning on the radio, it's a great way to pass time and make us kind of forget that we feel like crap. PA1 SBM, Alex, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. What else do we have? Mick Holland says, thanks for your comprehensive answer. John Beckham, we need some XH data, radio and CO on cases. Yeah. Jerry says 6950 is booming. So he's probably more in your neck of the woods than it is Eastern, which is nice because a lot of A lot of the pirates are on the East Coast and the West Coast. Don't hear many of them. Keegan used this Ethon Grading Edition satellite for recording the DX test yesterday from WBOB. Cool. Which was located in Jacksonville, Florida. What else do we have? Matt says, I kind of wish Mighty KBC had a 41 meter frequency to use for the spring fall radio months. Generally, they're hard on either band for me this time of year. I don't expect to copy them for a few weeks. Yeah, you're in a situation because you're, closer to the West Coast. And that is a big problem because you're on the East Coast. It's not a problem. 5960 is like booming in. And in the summertime, 99.25 is amazing. But you're in a situation where the signal has to continue toward North America, and typically 0 UT, which is 8 p.m. here, the sun set about half an hour ago. But for you, the sun is probably still up for at least an hour, if not more. So it kind of craps out a little bit the propagation conditions. KBC. No, you're talking about Paul. You're talking about KBS. That's the South Korea station. Mighty KBC is a station that comes from Europe that actually has is very powerful and has a lot of music. It's a broadcast a lot of people actually enjoy. James Johnson, nice to have you on board. Vince, nice to have you here. Toujours un plaisir. How is Paul the cat doing today? Sleeping somewhere in the house right now. He was. I was hoping he would sleep on the balcony. I could show you guys, but for now he's sleeping in the house. Fernando, nice to have you on board from Florida and for FAC. We have David KJ4CMY says, try getting Halloween stuff on the last week of October. Yeah, that's a tough one. I remember going 2-3 years ago when I did the special live Halloween show. And I went to get some Halloween stuff on like the day before. I couldn't find anything. It's like everything was salvaged. Like everybody just, took it out. Mike the Extra says, today I noticed that the Skywave schedule app displays Kiwi SDRs with waterfall when I listen in app. Cool. Yeah, they've been doing that for a little while, depending on what you tune, but it's kind of nice. That app is actually very nice. Skywave schedule is a very, very nice app. I think I got it here on the tablet to check out. Let me just go here. I think it's here. Skywave schedules. Didn't I? Yep, I got it here. So this is the Skywave schedules app. That is a great app to search for stations. So if you have an Android phone or tablet, you can actually use this app to search for the stations you're listening to, what's on the air now, or just check out what is on the air. And there's a listen button. When you click on the listen button at the top, it actually will direct you to Kiwi SDRs to listen to that broadcast, by the way. Let's try that. KFS, Historic Coastal Radio Station in CW right now, apparently. So let's see if I hear it here with my H501. So 12695.5. So I'll put 12694 upper sideband. I think I hear it. Yep, here it is. It's not very strong, but it's there. Yep, I hear it. It's not very strong, but it's there. 12. If you don't have a CW mode on your radio, 12694 upper sideband or 12695 will actually work too because it's on 695.5 CW. So KFS, which is activated only on Saturdays. So it is on right now, sending CQ to KFS, and I can hear it here. So historic coastal station, KFS out of California is coming in. So 45 unit. Last month, Dunkin' Donuts started with pumpkin spice flavored drinks and baked products. Yeah, well, that's more, for me, pumpkin spice is more of like a fall thing. And since we're not that far off, okay. Jerry, does CountyCom have blue or a camo color for cases? I'm not a lime green or fluorescent orange guy. Well, you can take the black one, but from what I see, is these are the three colors right now. You can send them suggestions. Maybe they will answer back with other colors and other possibilities. But if you don't like these orange flashy ones, you can take the black one, which will be more, kind of more regular and not flashy that everybody was looking at you. What the hell you doing? I like the flashy ones because I think of my Texan PL368 is orange. So actually, it already sticks out. This one should probably have the black case because it would still stick out. But I can imagine if you have like my CountyCom GP5, which is black, if you're afraid to lose the radio, these are great because I mean, with these colors, they're very, very difficult to not see when you're searching for your radios. And God knows I'm searching for my radios all the time. People ask me, "Oh, you gotta, talk about that radio." It's like, oh, I gotta find it first. It's somewhere in my pile of radios. Oh man. What else do we have? What else do we have? Mark, nice to have you here. Joe Tyson, nice to have you on board from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. John Beckham says, just wanted to say that I really like your nostalgic shortwave programs, including station intervals and old classic QSL cards indeed. It's fun to go back in time from time to time. Not all the time, because we gotta live, for today. But it is kind of cool to I'm gonna take my tablet. I'm gonna bring up preamp for the number stations. We're gonna try a few number stations. So we have in 21 minutes, we have a Morse code one, and we have HM01, and we have also an RTTY one. So we're gonna try that, as you could maybe see here, like this. So these are the upcoming stations. And I will also put up the Pirate HF Underground, which is a nice pirate spot to check out what stations are on the air. So here it says Radio Genix 6950 upper sideband being heard. So we're going to keep that up and running so that we could check it out. So what I did, by the way, somebody asked me the other day, how come you have Skywave schedules on a Amazon tablet, which actually is Amazon's own OS, basically, which is a lockdown version of Android. Well, there's a trick. If you look online and you look at your Fire tablet, there's a trick. They're going to show you how to install the Google Play services and the Google Play Store so that you can get any apps from the Google Play Store on your Amazon tablet. which turns the tablet into an Android tablet finally. So this is cool because you have access to every app now. And I've actually downloaded all the decoding apps like Droid, Navtex, RTTY, Slow Scan TV app, and so on, like Robot 36. So I can actually do all of it on the tablet, which is a nice tablet. For bang for the money, price for the performance, this is a Fire 10, the newest Fire 10 tablet. I mean, this thing performs well. It's fast, and once you add the Google Play Store, hey, you've got a great Android tablet. Really, really nice. And 10-inch is what I like because I read a lot of magazines on a tablet. So if you are looking into a tablet, I would suggest that you get the Fire tablet and you actually look online to how to install the Google Play Store on it. You'll have actually a great tablet for less expensive than if you would buy, say, one of the Samsung tablets, which are more expensive than this one. Um, so check that out. Chris66, nice to have you here from Kentucky. And WBOB yesterday for the tests were running 50,000 watts. So they kept their daytime power because at the daytime power of WBOB is 50 kilowatts. At nighttime they dropped down the power. But last night for the DX test, WBOB kept the daytime power of 50,000 watts. That's why it was very well heard in a lot of places. KW1161, nice to have you on board from Tucson, Arizona. Matt says it would be interesting if any African hams joined the French language D-Star net, but I doubt there's much internet connectivity in those countries where French is spoken widely. Yeah, almost everything that is the stations that log to the D-Star net, they're more like from Switzerland, France, of course, here in Quebec, and a few spots. There's a few from the U.S. that speak French, and a few from other parts of Canada, but they concentrate on really a very small array of countries. And yeah, we don't. I don't know. There's spotty internet connection. There's access to technology also. Maybe not everybody has the latest ham gear for D-Star stuff and so on. Kimberly, nice to have you on board from California. She says, first thing I do in the morning is turn on the coffee maker and go for my go juice. Well, that's pretty much what I do. I have the same repetitive thing in the morning. I wake up, make the coffee, take the shower while the coffee is being made. And when I get out of the shower, coffee is ready. And then I start my day. And do not talk to me before I have at least one coffee. I'm that kind of guy. It's like, I don't care. I don't want to know. Talk to me later. Jeff, KD5QDO, nice to have you on board from a humid Beaumont, Texas. Marcelo in Brazil, nice to have you on board. PU4MDI, nice to have you on board. So let me check that. Yep, that's it. It's the Réseau International des Stars Francophones. It's exactly that I listen to in the morning. And it is the network. The guy that actually does the network is a guy here in Quebec every Saturday morning. But that's exactly what I'm listening to, PLF Radio, the D-Star International, Réseau International Francophone. Exactly that. Matt says, yeah, 0 UT is 6 p.m. while we're on DST. Yeah. I don't know what I would guess the price is maybe one of the things. Mighty KBC coming from now in Germany. Um, but whatever transmitter site they're using, choice of frequency is definitely important. Definitely important. So Kimberly is doing Parks on the Air right now. Camping. Cool. That's fun. That is fun. Cool AM Radio and says time waits for no one. Nope. Time waits for no one. Isn't that a Rolling Stone song? Going home someday. Nice to have you on board from Ireland, EI6DP. Badass welding videos. Nice to have you on board. I almost, with that name, I almost want to watch welding videos and see what they look like. Jerry DX says orange brick. Yeah, you build a house out of the orange bricks. Now that house would be easy to see on Google Map on the satellite pictures on Google. What else do we have? Nick Amendot, nice to have you on board from Romania. Always nice to have you here. Oh, you made jingles for Genix? Oh, cool. Cool. So we hear a lot of your jingles probably and don't know that it's necessarily you. Cool. Mike WDX50. I thought about getting the Fire tablet last Prime Day. Didn't know the Google Play Store is available for it. That's a really great feature. Yeah, but you have to. It's a manual thing. It's not available. They're not advertising it. It's a little hack that you have to do on your tablet. It's actually easy to do, but you just have to follow the instructions. And once that happens, you've got the Google Play Store, so you can, any Android app actually works. So that's the cool thing about it. Keegan says I have an Amazon Fire tablet since December 2015. Yeah, because I used to have a weird branded tablet that had Android on it, but I actually like that tablet way more. The camera is very crappy though. Don't buy that for the camera because it's the worst camera I've seen on anything. It's like going back to a cell phone camera of 2005. Just grainy, bad, and horrible. Especially when you compare it to my smartphone, the Galaxy S20, which has an amazing camera on it. So going home Sunday says the first thing is a good pot of strong tea. Yeah, that also does the job. Barry, nice to have you on board from Kentucky. WQYY664. Jean, nice to have you on board from Connecticut. KB10. Salut, j'espère que ça va bien. We have, what do we have? WX50. Okay. Question: what do you call? Okay, a donkey with 3 legs. M0IS. Nice to have you on board. Nice to see you back from the UK. Charity X says, don't go on the balcony during a lightning storm. No, I try to avoid. Anything else? Robert Prosper says, I find that Amazon load up my Fire tablet with tons of bloatware that you cannot get rid. It crowds out the things you want. Well, they're all like that. Whether it's a Samsung tablet or whatever tablet you buy, they all load it up with their own stuff that they want you to have. For me, it's not a problem because I'm an Amazon customer. I have books from the Amazon store. So I like the Kindle app, and these are things that I like. Actually, even the Kindle app, personally, even if you're not buying from them, you can read your ebooks from the Kindle app still. And I find that it's actually a much better app for reading ebooks than many other apps that exist out there. John Beckham says the camera is the same low quality like Shortwave is on a Prunus radio. Hey, nice to have you on board from Italy. Nice to have you here. Oh, God. Rob Hawkins, nice to have you on board from G5ROB. Pretty cool, Rob, from the UK. Mike WX50, my ancestors lived in the country next to Lexington. Huh. Okay, so Quillingham sharing the KB's Mighty KBC schedules. There's the Beatles on 6950. Cool, Jerry. One thing that I will be subscribing this week is the online amateur radio course for RAC. Radio Amateurs of Canada has a amateur radio course that starts September the 23rd, I believe. It's every Thursday evening up to November. So, and then there's a test. So I will be subscribing to that, following the course and doing the test. So it costs $50 plus you got to buy the latest study guide. So yes, I am jumping into the amateur radio tests and the amateur radio course. So you guys have been waiting for that. That's coming up now. No code test in Canada for the basic. I think there's 3 level of if I remember well, 3 level of license. 2 first levels do not require a code. The last level does still require a code. Jeff in New Hampshire, what would be better, a longer wire low to the ground or a short wire I-up? That's a good question. Technically, on shortwave, what happens is that they always tell us that a wire should be as high as possible. Personally, one of the things would be to try it out, and actually, that could be fun videos to do that. I never did. I should do videos of like putting 50 feet of wire on the ground and then putting the same 50 feet of wire, testing it up. That could be fun videos to do, actually, in comparing. By experience, I've noticed that even if it's on the ground, a long wire on the ground actually still works great. But technically, I don't know. If anybody has an answer for that, a short wire I-up or a long wire low to the ground? That's a good one. P1 SBM. Alex says, finally. Oh, man. A wonky. God. Jerry says you could bring Frankenstein back to life on that balcony. It's even worse on the front with the oh, look at that. Stray kitty. I can't really move the camera much, but the stray cat just walked behind and he's looking at me right now. She's so cute. I wish I could show you guys, but it's kind of a little complicated and I don't want to mess up the camera like I did last time. And she's waiting for food, I think. She's really waiting for food. And so, yeah, kitty. I have food, eh? And can I show you guys kitty without breaking anything? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Do you answer? Oh, man, she's not coming. Talking of Halloween, I do have a Halloween mat because I found that it was so nice. They got me buying some Halloween stuff. So, anyways, she's gonna come back for sure. She's gonna come back for sure. So, I can actually do that, which is nice. I like that. I didn't think that I could actually try not to break the camera here because I'm all. There we go. Gotta stay in the camera frame. Kimberly says, awesome news, y'all. I can hardly wait to work you after you get your ham license. Yeah, a lot of you want to talk to me. We're gonna have a lot of, and I'm sure we'll have, once I'm operating and everything, try to have a live show where we're gonna have some live contacts and stuff. Keegan says his dad has been a ham for 67 years. Cool. Mick Holland, do you still use your sloper? Nope. Unfortunately, the sloper got down because the other end. So the sloper started from pretty much the corner of the roof here. On the other end, it was attached to a wooden broomstick that I clamped on the fence, on the corner of the fence, and it had about 70, close to 80 feet. The more I think about it, it's like close to 80 feet of wire. It stood outside for, wow, many winters and summers. So, you know what? It finally, at the end of last winter, well, actually, I looked outside because I could see it really well from my bedroom window. I looked outside, I think it was in March when we had one of the last snowstorms. And it was extremely low lying. And I noticed that the wooden broomstick at the other end was probably was rotten or something. It's like it was a little bent and kind of almost broken. So I thought, what do I do? Do I repair the sloper or do I just abandon? And because I have W6LVP here, I made a switch. I decided I can't have 45 million cables going in the house. There's a limit to the craziness of radio. And I finally just came up with, you know what? I'm going to take it down. And it's too noisy in a way. Was not really useful. But one thing that's going to happen is that for sure, when I get my ham license, I will have to look at what antenna exactly will I set up. What antenna will I set up? So it's going to be, that's going to be the real question. So in 2 minutes, if you guys want to try it, 7961 CW. So I'm going to put 7960 in upper sideband here. M12, which is the Moscow, Russia spy number station and Morse code. And there's also 14463, which is called F06. This one is a radio teletype style number station from Russia. And there's HM01 and 16180. That is the Cuban number station. So I'm going to try all three of them here. So in about a minute's time, I'm going to start with trying to hear the Morse code station. Look at that here. Oh, she's gone. See if I can get her back here. Let's see if I can get her back here. Yeah, she's coming back. Here's the little stray cat. Her name is Mignon. So you guys. So she just she wants some food. Here she comes again. Cute little stray cat. Here goes. Here goes Mignon. You are nice. making Paul jealous. So you guys see her now. And she is now a star of the internet. So I could hear, by the way, guys, the Morse code, a little bit of the Morse code station on 7961. It's weak, but it's there. It's weak, but it's there. The other ones, I'm going to try 29, 21 UT, 14463. I don't know if we're going to hear the radio teletype. Not hearing anything here. And let's try Cuban numbers on 16180. There's actually a carrier. A pretty strong signal, too. But I'm not hearing any voice for the Cuban number. So no voice for the Cuban number on 16180. Bobby Burgess says now soon it's going to be the official Shortwave Cat Cafe. Oh, man. KW1161 says soon we can call you an old man. Yep. I'll see that on the bands. Oh, God. What else do we have here? RJDA Dakota says Radio Netherlands used to send out a pamphlet they titled "Give Your Antenna Some Air." Jersey X says, "Joke of the day: Why can't you not trust the stairs? Because they're always up for something. They're always up to something." Vince says, "I used my clothesline as long wire antenna, and seriously, it works really good. I just use one alligator clip. When I arrived here, there was a clothesline here, which was one of those metal wire clothesline, because some of them are made of kind of a rope kind of material. And I used it as an antenna for a long time. I would clip myself on it every time I would listen until it fell down." Jean, a used Sangean 909 in good condition. It's a great radio. You're going to have fun with that. Honestly, you're going to have fun with that. You know, I complain about some of the things on the radio, but honestly, it's still a nice radio. Here she is. Miss, she just woke up. She just woke up with digital and stuff. 16180, Cuban numbers, lady from Cuba. Yep, Cuban numbers 16180. Not too bad of signal here, with some fading. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you on board. N6 RLS, nice to have you on board from Berkeley, California. Nice to have you here, Robin. N6 RLS. Dave has Radio Exterior de España coming in, 55555 on 17855 in Indiana. Cool. Oh, yeah, I got good value of the slow permit. It was actually a gift from a viewer. It's one of those IN-fed commercial antennas with a 9-to-1 balun at the end. And somebody had sent me this as a gift many years ago. And I set it up in the back. First I set it up as a long wire. But I noticed that when I put it up as a sloper, the noise was slightly less because of the angle, probably. And I would say it went through at least 3 or 4 winters. At least. I mean, I kept the wire and everything. And I mean, the box, the the 9-to-1 balun in the box and the connector and everything. I still have it. I could technically simply set the box back up with the connectors, and instead of using the wire that came with it, I just buy 100 feet of wire, set it up again. It would still it's still in working order. I just need a wire and to set it up. And sometimes I'm thinking about it. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, should I not? I like to. I don't know. Here in the back, so here is, you see the roof, part of the roof of the house here on the that's next to this place. That is a old 90, I think she's 92-year-old lady, and she lives with her daughter that takes care of her. They are super nice, and I mean, I do chores for them from time to time. The other day, I saw her struggling with the lawnmower, and I said, "You want me to do your lawn? I'm going to do your lawn." And she wanted to give me like $20, and like, no, I don't want money. I just want to do your lawn, And of course, there's another side to it that I'm thinking is, if I'm nice, and they love Paul the cat because her mom always asks her to open the door so Paul can go in the house so she can pet him. So they love Paul. They like the fact that I help them if there's something. So I'm kind of being nice also in the idea of, would you mind if I set a wire that goes up to the other end of your yard that's not going to interfere with anything you do? And that would help me so much, which probably would be, I would guess our answer now would be yes, no problem. So, being nice with neighbors does pay off. And so maybe that could be sloper number 2, but because of that side, it'll be longer. Instead of being about 80 feet, I could probably do 120, 130 feet and see what it does. It might be very noisy. The other thing also I'm thinking is that if I have to put up some sort of ham radio antenna, I might need a little space. And, the backyard here is pretty big, but if I could also use the neighbor's backyard to have something even more interesting, why not? So this is going to be something to look at. What else do we have? What else do we have? Harold Henderson says, do you listen for hams? Or I do listen to hams quite often. And I actually enjoy very much tuning around the amateur bands. It's something that I always found fun to do, going through the amateur radio bands. Even when I was starting out with my radios in 82, 83, especially when I got because on the DX100, getting hams was too complicated. It drifted too much, and listening to a single sideband was horrible. But when I got my DX302 back in 83-ish, that was more stable. It had the frequency display. My interest in ham radio listening really, really grew. I had a lot of fun listening to hams, and I still remember, because my sister was a ham back then, my sister that died of cancer. She was Victor Echo 2 Delta Papa Oscar. And I don't know if we could find, because I know that if you do that today, somebody else has a license, because she lost her license in the 90s because she didn't pay the dues back then. And I know somebody else has it now. But I wonder if any of you guys, by the way, has a ham call book from the 80s, early 90s. If you could look up Victor Echo 2 Delta Papa Oscar, and you'll see her name is Joanne. She is She was my sister. She was a ham operator. She got her license in 81, 82, 1981, 1982 ish. She got a license because she met a guy that loved amateur radio, and he was a ham too, but I don't remember his call. And she became a ham also. She was active in the 80s quite a lot, but it was really, really, really nice. So my interest in listening to ham radio has always been there. I've even today, if I find that there's nothing interesting in the international broadcast bands, first thing I'll do is I'll go to the AM bands and check out what's there and listen. Call me crazy because I know that some people find that ultra boring, but call me crazy when there's a DX station calling CQ and making contacts. I just sit there and listen to the ham station doing contacts. I can listen to that guy for an hour and a half. The other night, that was last week, 2 weeks ago, I posted a video. That guy from Russia that I was making contacts. I listened to that guy making contacts for 2 hours on my portable radio. I mean, I didn't get bored. It was like, wow, I'm getting a guy from Russia, and I'm going to listen to any other stations I might hear while he's making the contacts. It's always been something I liked, which it's kind of surprising. It's surprising that that I didn't get my ham license earlier. When you think that thinking that I listen to hams all the time. What else do we have? You know what, Tristan? International shipping is, since COVID, it's not always reliable and it's sometimes super complicated. I have noticed that I have way more problems with shipping from China on eBay. I actually stopped buying stuff on eBay because it's just now too complicated. I just like forget it. Plus, if you buy something that has a battery, it's like, well, we're sorry, but it has a battery inside. It's like, oh man, forget it. It's too complicated. So this is something that is driving me crazy. That's why I'm actually thinking I'm going to buy the ATS 25. They have it on Amazon from a Chinese seller, but I was figuring that maybe it could be easier to buy it through Amazon than to buy it in Canadian dollars. It comes back to maybe I'm paying $20 more, but I'm like, yeah, who cares if it actually works better, you know? James Johnson, I like getting my ham license, but all people talk about is politics and prostates. That's why you have to have your ham license so that you can talk about other subjects with people. That's the thing. Robert Prosper, I sense an official ham channel in the offing. Man. A tale of two kitties. A tale, yeah. Man. Jerry, I wonder if those spies drink dry martinis, shaken, not stirred, and go around in sports cars. Oh, man. Jeff McLeod, nice to have you here. Oh, she's really really beautiful, but she's very, very scary. Vince got 7960 in Deux Montagnes, Quebec. People heard the M12. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's go down here. Barry, have a house of cats here. Long story, but they are my kids' cats. I just taking care of them. And 6RLS, I can't have a permanent antenna here. I use a buddy pole dipole on a portable mast on 20 and 40 meters these days. Also VHF, UHF, a J pole mounted on an old cymbal stand. Interesting. Flying poison darts. Oh, man. John says she is pretty. She is a pretty cat, as I had a similar looking cat named April a few years ago. She is absolutely very, very pretty. John Ritson, nice to have you here from the UK. 2E0JGR. Pretty cool. David, KJ4CMY. The rope clotheslines don't make very good antennas. Actually, for reception, if you don't have a lot of noise, they do make interesting antennas. But, there's all sorts of things. Rich in Atlanta, Georgia. Nice to have you on board. Is getting TAH, which is the Turkish station on 12654 CW, and KFS on 12695.5. Do I hear 12654? Let's check it out. 1265 TAH. Yeah, it's there. TAH. That's on 1264, which I've tuned 1263 upper sideband. TAH from Turkey, which is the Istanbul, Turkey maritime channel marker. What radios that you have? That's the Texan H501X portable receiver, an amazing radio. And 6RLS, I'm really more of a shortwave listener at heart anyway. Not actually on air much. Enjoy listening to others. Lewis, nice to have you on board. Any love for 6 meters? I've not worked it, but considering putting up a dipole for it, it's an amazing band. Every time I know it's open, I have to go and listen. It's just such an amazing band. Coolium Radio says 6270 AM cruising radio in the UK. Jeff McLeod says made a broomstick antenna that brings in signals from 80 to 20 meters. Cool. EC Fetters Whelp, nice to have you on board. 16180, nice and strong in Seattle. Barry, 16180, 5 out of 9 dB on a Radio Shack DX390. John Doe, got a PL, but I'm yet to hear anything. Maybe you have too much noise where you are. That's probably the main reason you don't have signals. I can imagine there must be a lot of people out there that have radios and are sure that these radios don't work because noise is so high that they're not getting anything. And it's a tough one to explain, and it's a tough one to, go out to a park, go out somewhere far from the houses and turn on that ETM functionality, that 310 ET as ETM scan. I'm sure you're going to hear stuff, but you have to move out probably of where you are because it's too noisy. Timothy, CC Skywave, good radio outdoors. I pick up Brazil. Cool. Keegan, 16180, Cuban numbers lady, S2 to S4 out of S5, fading at times. Cool. Doesn't even have to have the antenna extended. What else do we have? Mick Holland says, that sounds like a plangel. That does. Vince, Gilles, in my work, I use Balun when I use Cat6 cables for analog camera that would normally use RG6. My question is, this Balun I use, would it work for my dipole antenna? So you have specific Baluns that are 9-to-1 that what they do is they actually match your antenna's impedance with the radio's impedance. Because radios typically, we're going to talk mostly of, because I don't know what, that's a question I have for you guys, maybe that you guys have an answer to. So desktop radios, my ICOM, my CRD 500, my Yaesu FT450, which I already have a transceiver, so I'll be ready for the ham bands on HF. Their impedance is 50 ohms. And from what I understand, a Balun is there to match the impedance of whatever long wire or wire antenna to match the radio. Technically means less loss of signals. Some people report less noise. In my case, noise level doesn't change. In my case, I haven't seen any changes. But technically, the fact that you match the impedance means there should be less loss in the radio signal. When we, like right now, I have my W6LVP loop on my Texan H501X. We don't hear about, the impedance of the antenna connectors of portable radios. Anybody have an idea what, is it 50 ohms and we don't know? Is it something else? That's a question I got no answer. I never even thought about it before. 16180 spine numbers receiving clear in with the Texan PL330 and telescopic only. That is great. 16180, the Cuban spine number, making it to Italy. And just telescopic. That is cool. That is really cool. So going home Sunday says if you have 90 feet length of space, put up a T2FD great antenna. So, okay. Check it out. Here, if I consider the neighbor's yard, I have more than 100 feet. I have space. The 2 yards here and the yard and the neighbor together is probably, if I estimate it, at least 150 feet. At least 150 feet, if not more. John Doe, what do the numbers mean? Well, that's the thing. Those numbers mean something for somebody. It's a message. But we're the ones we don't know what they mean. Ron C., big howdy. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Database. Radio-related. Check out. What is that? Free pirate radio communication. Electronica, Homebrew. Oh, that is a nice one to keep. I'm going to put it in my... I'm going to add this to my favorites. Bookmark this tab. Yes. Add the bookmark. Done. So lots of stuff. Pirate connection, pirate chat, free radio waves, free wave. Thanks for sharing, Andre. I have lots of stuff to read. I go to the World Radio History page where there's it's World Radio History page where there's tons of magazines. I download, and I love to read the ones from like the 1950s or 40s or even 60s and 70s and see how radio was back then. It's just amazing. Jason, VE9JMC for HF, make yourself a multi-band fan dipole, 80, 40, 20, 17, 15, and 10. Once each band is tuned, they work well. Yeah, what's the problem here? And that is where I am not sure of what I want to do as an antenna. The noise level is crazy. So I had a sloper. I've had here. So I've been living here I'm starting my 21st year here. Actually, my 22nd year. And I've had, over 20 years, I've had at least 15 different antennas of all sorts, different sizes, different positions, wires, all sorts of things. The biggest problem is noise. The noise level is too high if I put dipoles and stuff like that. So what I would need is some sort of, or I'll send out this crazy idea to you guys. What if I put up, for example, dipoles for the transmit, but for receive, maybe I could use like a second radio that would be, so for example, because if on the same antenna, a radio, has only one antenna, and I have too much noise. Would that be feasible to have, say, the Yaesu transmit on dipole and the receive done on, I know that you have to turn off the loop while you send because make sure you don't blow it up. But you send with a dipole and a Yaesu, and I receive on the ICOM with a loop. An example. Would that be feasible? Just add a question. And what would you guys do? That's another question. What would you guys do in an environment like here where there's so much noise that anything wire, dipole, and so on is almost impossible to really think of as an antenna? So any suggestions that you guys have on that is would be welcome. Cygnus Rider, nice to have you on board. Gang of Four, nice to have you here from New Hampshire. Jerry X, the Cumin lady is melting my Malachite SDR receiver. Maybe that's what they want. PA1SBM Alex, VE2DPO, Denny Pouliot. Yep, I remember seeing his name. I know that he holds that call now, but if anybody has an old call book. Sanjid Singh, nice to have you on board. Says, can you explain me in the age of high-speed internet and high-speed communication and satellite communications, why does one need ham radio? So ham radio, first of all, let's so there's these questions come all the time, and a lot of people are on the impression that shortwave radio or amateur radio, you can chat on the look at here. We're chatting in a chat room from people all over the world, and you have the possibility to use all sorts of apps to talk to people from around the world. And somebody might say, well, why amateur radio and all the static and stuff when you do it so easily on the internet? And it's a valid question, but it has several answers. First of all, when you're a radio fan, there's something unique about sending out radio waves that will, for example, go across the Atlantic Ocean and somebody on the other side is going to hear and answer back. There's kind of no magic for a radio geek like we are. There's kind of no magic for the internet. It's easy, and cables are there to transmit all that data, and we have the submarine cables for all of this. The video and all of this is going through on submarine cables to Europe and around the world, bringing all these communications. But radio waves are different, and it's thinking that your receiver, like this, for example, I'm getting a signal from 2,000 kilometers away using just radio waves, no cable, no nothing. And amateur radio, a part of it is that the amazement of radio waves and how we receive and transmit and talk all over the world. First of all, that's one. Amateur radio also, and look at Afghanistan. If you want to transmit something, if you want to send a message to somebody, if you want to communicate to countries that are difficult in like Afghanistan, and there's a lot of countries that are very, very delicately balanced around the world. The internet can be shut down anytime. Well, amateur radio is not going to be shut down. Amateur radio or shortwave radio cannot be shut down from a signal that comes from another country. You still can transmit and give your message across. There's also the fact that, big problem, a big, if you have a big storm, no more electricity, no more nothing. You got no more internet, no access to anything. Amateur radio is the number one way we get help in major disasters. I don't know how many times I see articles of every time there's a hurricane, every time there's a a typhoon, a storm, a earthquake, a disaster of some sort, amateur radio is always there to help. Why? Because amateur radio operators are trained in communications in tough environments, in when there's no electricity, when there's no way of using your smartphone. Well, you know what? Amateur radio will be there and will be able to transmit any aspect of amateur radio than just talking. Ultimately, the biggest problem of amateur radio in its PR, I will say, is that too many people focus on, oh well, that's CB radio, because they see a radio microphone and they just in their head CB radio is the same thing, without knowing and realizing that no, it's much more than that. And I think one of the biggest mistakes of amateur radio right now is that they're not focusing on what amateur radio can do for you. Because for most people, it's a toy, and we're playing with toys. Um, no, we're not playing with toys. I like shortwave radio, for example. I listened to the BBC World Service last night, heard news from around the world of what's happening in Afghanistan and anywhere else. Yes, you hear it on the news, but what you hear on the shortwave radio is different from your local media all the time. For amateur radio, it's not a toy. It's much more than that. It's a communications possibility. It opens up the possibility of help in disasters. And I think there should be a focus on that when amateur radio is displayed somewhere. It's not just, yeah, I talk about my prostate to the other guy on the other end, like someone was mentioning earlier. No, this could be used to save your life one day. We have a great example here. In 1998, we had a big ice storm. Amateur radio played a key role in disaster management and helping out. You know what? You notice one thing every time there's a big disaster, what should help you, the police and emergency services, they're always the ones that lose their communication systems all the time. Why? Because these communication systems are not taught out right. They're taught out by big companies that just want to have your cash, make a network, say, yeah, this is going to work. And then you get a big disaster, and the cops cannot talk to each other anymore, and fire department cannot talk to each other anymore. And it's like, yeah, well, amateur radio takes over and talks and does communicate. So it's super important to keep that alive. It's super important we never lose that possibility. And last but not least, amateur radio is a pioneer in digital and all sorts of new types of communications. And a lot of what happens today, your smartphone, has to do with the advancement of radio technology, and a lot of it has to do with amateur radio technology. Those that, invent FT8, that a lot of people ate. Well, those people are making amateur radio go forward in the future in new ways. And that there'll be a variant of FT8 that might drive some technology someday, a variant of any digital communications that might drive technology someday. So basically, I should be, the guy talking for amateur radio operators. And I'm not even a ham yet. TVDXers got DPL 990. Woohoo. You're going to have fun with that. When you have time, do take the time to unbox and play around. Harold Anderson, thanks very much. Sorry about your sister. I'm a ham in Oslo, Norway. Call sign LB1NH. Cool. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Okay, what else do we have? Let's try to go down a little faster. I talk a lot today. What else do we have? What else do we have? Kimberly says, I can honestly say I've never talked once about my prostate. Oh, God. Oh, God. Um, what else do we have? Mandarin the Xer, what do you think of CRI dropping their German service on shortwave but still on the internet? Is it something to be concerned about the future of shortwave? You know what? I've said it all the time. I don't think shortwave is of any the internet is of any danger for shortwave. If it would have been, we would still have Radio Netherlands broadcasting into the world and on the internet. They just decided not, you know, we're not on shortwave anymore, and that's it. We're going, and a lot of the majority of shortwave services going away aren't going on the internet. So, is it a concern? Should we be concerned about that? Um, that's one decision. No, not necessarily. I think what we need to be concerned more about is broadcasters not having and being in the dark, not having an idea of anybody listening out there. That's why I always say, even if it's just two lines, I like what you do. We should all take the time to write into a station and, okay, here's a wasp. Go away. Yes, thank you. You should take the time to write in and say, I listen to you every day or, once a week or whatever, and I like what you do. For one simple reason, keeping shortwave alive is expensive because transmitters cost a lot of money to operate, and you're spending money to an audience that you have no idea who is out there and how many people are out there. So that's more of a concern. If you guys want to keep shortwave alive, and if we all want to keep shortwave alive, we also all have to chip in. It's nice to say, it's nice to have, oh well, this is so fun and shortwave is so much fun, and listening to shortwave is so great. Okay. Did you tell the stations that you're listening to that same thing? Take the time, because the problem I don't think comes from the fact the internet exists. The problem comes from the fact that no one is writing. You know what? Voice of Turkey didn't have a mailbag show for a couple of weeks. I heard that on Glenn Hauser. Well, maybe he didn't have a mailbag show because they didn't have mail. Yet, I hear it and I listen to it. I'm sure that there are others listening to it. If you don't take the time to say hello and say that you're there listening, don't ask why one day somebody says, "Well, we're gonna pull the plug." It seems like no one's listening. About CRI dropping the shortwave to go on internet, it could be such a decision. Maybe they didn't get feedback from Germany or for German speaking audiences. And they thought, well, you know, it's so expensive to power a 500 or 250 kilowatt transmitter to an audience that's invisible. The internet, maybe they're trying out the internet and they're going to see what's going to happen, and if they see people listening. But from experience, and I don't think things have changed on that. A lot of the stations that did go to the internet, and two examples, Radio Slovakia and Radio Prague, left shortwave. They were internet only podcasts every day. I will admit that I was downloading their podcasts and listening in to see. how it was. And basically, what happens is they came back to WRMI. And I remember they said in one of their mailbag shows that when they went from shortwave to the internet, they lost most of their audience. Kind of showing you that when you are on shortwave and people listen, people aren't going to listen to you on the internet. They're not following, they're not going there. It's two different, very, very different mediums. Most people that listen to shortwave like me pretty much don't listen to internet streams of radio. I don't. I, I had an internet radio here that stopped working thanks to people that just don't want to maintain databases. Um, I barely listened to. I listened the first month. It was, though, this is cool. Then the only thing that I would do with it is listen to music because it had amazing sound. I would just listen to music streams, and I didn't care about listening to anything else. The only thing I would listen to, because yes, that does have a certain importance, was the BBC. But I don't know. I think we have a responsibility as listeners and as people that consume shortwave to also at least write a little something and tell everyone that, well, I'm listening to your broadcast, and I like it, and this is why I like it or I don't. And it doesn't have to be a very long message. It could be just a simple, I'm a shortwave listener, I enjoy your broadcasts every week. At least you just gave them a number. Someone's listening. Because if they don't know if anybody's listening, at some point they just switch off because they're like, well, we're not getting any mail. One of the major comments I've heard, and I heard it from HCJB when they left, was the dwindling amount of mail coming from listeners. And that pushed their decision of, okay, well, maybe we're spending too much money on this thing called shortwave. And it can go because it could be of an amazing use someday for all sorts of reasons. Robert Osborne from Niagara Falls. Nice to have you here. Is that a loop antenna behind you? Absolutely. W6LVP loop right there. It's actually what's hooked up to my H501X. So Oli G, yep. W6LVP magnetic loop. Tom DX, well, the ATS-20 also has a lot of noise because of the display screen. I saw that same video. These things cannot be used on telescoping antennas. I think the big mistake that people, even the malachite is unusable on a telescopic, and even the Russian one. I'm sorry, but I've seen enough videos and enough that anybody that thinks of buying that Russian malachite, whatever, unless you use it with an external antenna, it's almost unusable on its telescopic because of internal noise. And Dan Robinson has the second edition he's been testing. He's been talking about all the noise that he gets on the telescopic, and they're trying to work on that. These things are noisy. These things are made to be used on a external antenna. And on these antenna, they work. The S20 that I have, that somebody called me an idiot because it says, well, you don't test it right. Yeah, I tested right. Telescopic antenna picks up all the noise that comes from that crap. But if I put the loop here on it, it actually becomes a very interesting receiver. These things are computers with screens. Has anybody tried to put something with a computer next to a radio? Now, you might come to me and say, well, look at the ICOM. Yeah, the ICOM's like $3,000. They've had a lot of shielding in it for $3,000. A $100 whatever does not have the shielding. And it's really much more basic in its way of working. Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you on board. Says, I'm so damn used there being no streams. BT Radio, Paul, nice to have you here. AA1SU checking in from Vermont. Gave up on this Colorado Q&A for a while. And here's Stray Cat is back. And you know what, guys? I'm something. Stray Cat is hungry and she wants food. I'm going to go fill my glass, which means we're going to continue this live show. And I'm going to go give Stray Cat some food. And she's going to be happy. And you're all going to be happy that I'm continuing the live show. How about that? Is it a good deal? I think it is. I'm half an hour behind in the chat room, by the way, guys. I'm going to try to catch up. And while I do that, anything else that I could just suggest that you try? So, next station in 13 minutes is Cuban Lady on 17480. Okay. So let's see here what else that I can check. Anybody in the mail? Okay, I'm live apparently. So okay, I'm gonna go do that, and I'm gonna keep you guys with the soothing sounds of WWV. Not the best signal, but it's there definitely. So I'm back in 2 minutes. Okay. Hello, we're back. And, well, I didn't have any more. I see the. Just going to try to make this a little better. Sorry, the microphone is about to fall down. I'm just clipping it back. Just, let's take this off for a second. Ouch. Here we go. Maintenance while we're doing the live show. There we go. Okay. This is definitely not holding raw. The radio's here. So what about stop playing with it? I'll do it like this for a second here. Sorry guys, a little technical difficulty. I don't know why it didn't want to hold. So let's bring this up. Try to hold it in a different way for the time being. And I'm going to try to do a little something here. Here we go. This should hold. Okay. Let's see now. So John Doe falls asleep. So by the way, I didn't have any more cranberry juice, so this is orange juice. So it's now a screwdriver. Okay. Sour cream and guacamole and the SDR to cool it off. Oh man. Melon Chip 2. Have you had any? Do you have any of the old Sony PLL radios with digital tuners? If so, what do you think of them? I've never had any Sony shortwave radios. Just funny, but for some reason I never had. Donald E. Smith, nice to have you on board from Bermuda. Frank is hearing 6270. Pretty cool. Yeah, Jean, for $675, the ATS 909. Yeah, not bad. You're going to have a decent antenna. Anthony, I just got 45 feet antenna out in a sloper. Tried to use it for BBC 9575 at 8 Eastern. I guess a lot of noise outside too. You think grounding it would reduce the noise? Maybe, maybe not. If you live in a noisy environment, wire antennas, that's the big problem with wire antennas. They pick up a lot of noise. That's why we use like those antennas like here, the loop. These magnetic loops, like the MLA30, which is a cheap antenna and will probably give you better results. So okay, let's try to go a little faster. Jason V9 JMC with a balance is to match the impedance of the antenna to the coax. In radio, some antennas will have feed pointing impedance of 300 450 ohms. Impedance matching is less important for receive only. Oh yeah, for receive it's not as important. For transmit it's a different story because the more you match, the better it is because the more signal will get out. I mean, if you match it on receive, there could be because even on receive, technically a good match means you might have a little more signal, but it often is much of a difference. But for transmit is extremely important. Mobile Armor Strike Command, nice to have you on board. Currently on 20-meter band. Sunjit, can anyone tell me what range can I get with 27 megahertz AM radio? Well, that's CB radio. Depending on the setup, sometimes it's surprising how far you can go, but you know. Let me just check out here. Trying to go a little faster, so if I missed anything, let me know. Esteban from the Canary Islands, nice to have you here. EA8DLJ. Barry, new technology in the last 10 years has raised the noise floor by 5% at the very least. It's horrible. That is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people maybe stopped listening to shortwave. The noise level grew up on them all the time, and at some point it became unbearable for so many people to listen on, you know. So it doesn't work, Barry. Like, it doesn't work like that. Grounding everything has absolutely nothing to do with the noise level you got around you. A wire antenna picks up noise. Even if you ground it, even if you use heavy duty coax to bring it in, you will have S9 noise level. That is, and I'm tired of hearing that. When people say use good coax and good, no, noise is noise and it's there. And if the antenna is there and there's noise on it, there's noise on it. There's nothing you can do. Okay? Yes, a good coax absolutely will help for the noise within your home and so on. But you've got 100 feet of wire in the noise. You've got 100 feet wire in the noise. No ground and no coax will change anything. That, we got to stop thinking about that. Okay? Good ground does remove the noise at the coax level. You got tons of noise on your antenna. You got tons of noise on your antenna. That's all. And no, you're not going to have any. I got this wasp. I don't know if she loves me or something. So you're not going to have any change there. Doesn't change. It's untrue. Okay? You got to either move your antennas. You got to either use different types of antennas, like a magnetic loop. But a ground won't change anything to 100 feet of wire in the noise. It's 100 feet wire in the noise. It's still going to pick up your noise. There are other things that you need to do. Vojislav, and by the way, I'm not mad or angry. I'm just very passionate about what I talk sometimes. Vojislav, in the old days, it was normal to have separate transmitter and receiver, sometimes with different antennas. I tried it, but even the receive loop gets too much noise here. Yeah. Kenny Radio TV guy says there's a local rock concert here in Shortwave Park in front of someone's place right by where I walk in the morning. I walked by it this afternoon and I was surprised at the amount of people. Wow. Okay. John Beckham, shortwave radio listening is like owning a big and powerful crystal radio. It's all about electromagnetic waves in the ionosphere. Yeah. Chaz Tank, good evening. Nice to have you here from Louisville, Kentucky. And we're going to try to pick up here. Mobile Armor Strike Command. I'm an operator and I can set up my emergency equipment in less than 6 minutes. That is cool. Is Voice of Turkey not on tonight? Yeah, but you don't want to use Harold. You don't want to use a remote station on the internet. You know, that's not what you want to do. You want to have that same. You want to have, your own station and. Yes. Yep. Voice of Turkey is now here. 9830 kilohertz.
220, 300 BTC, 39 meter band, and 9830 kilohertz for Europe, Eastern and Canada. And then the 19 meter band on 15520 kilohertz between 60, 30, and 70.
So the voice of Turkey is on 9830 in English. Why not send them a little something? Say you're listening. Gabriel, saludos desde Argentina. Saludos desde Canada. ¿Cómo está mi amigo? Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here. KP4MD, nice to have you on board. Some receive with a separate loop oriented to minimize noise. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing. What about I put up a good transmit antenna and use the loops to receive because they get a lot less noise than the antennas that I have. And that's the idea in my mind. Robert Prosper, are there any websites that offer streaming CB? Well, technically, Kiwi SDR, so you just go to the CB band and stream whatever is in their area. James Johnson says amateur radio played a big part in Katrina. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Let me just see where I was because I lost my spot. Once again, if I did not, I'm trying to catch up. I'm 25 minutes behind. John Beckham, amateur radio doesn't get the credit that it deserves. No, because you were always hearing people treating it like it's CB radio. And by the way, I'm not bashing CB radio. I'm one of those guys that love CB radio. I've got my 980 SSB. It is also fun to dabble in the CB radio stuff. All I'm saying is that amateur radio operators need to be better at promoting and talking what amateur radio is all about. You know, I'm sure that people that have lived through an emergency and noticed how how amateur radio actually helped out suddenly have a very different view and different take on what it's all about. Brian says you could use a separate antenna with a TR switch. I do it sometimes with my SDR Uno and 7300. KP4MD, an 80-meter full-wave horizontal loop is quiet and works on harmonically related bands. One thing for sure is going to have to, because when I get my hand license, I'm going to have to experiment because I will need a transmit antenna. And then if I want to make contacts and be able to hear people, I'm going to have to find a way to be able to receive also. You know, the transmit part is not a problem. Because if you have local noise, who cares about that when you transmit? You want to have a good antenna when you transmit to make contacts. The problem is that antenna, when it receives, if it's too noisy, you're missing out on people might hear you. You're not hearing them. And that's the big problem. Happy to answer, Sanjit. Keegan listened to shortwave and FM stations during the 2009 ice storm that knocked out power. I mean, we go to radio automatically when that happens. Yep, Robert Prosper, that's the thing also. Living in an apartment is a very, very complex situation, especially, you know, when I hear people, it's like, yeah, well, I do VHF, I do 2 meters. Yeah, but that's so different. 2 meters isn't noisy here. I can be on 2 meters. I don't want to be on 2 meters. I don't want to be that guy that says, "Well, hello, I'm happy to be here on the net tonight, and it's beautiful outside." And I don't like that thing. I don't bash it because if that is a way for you to be social in amateur radio, it's fine. It's fine. And, you know, amateur radio nets on 2 meters and 70 centimeters and whatever. It's fine. It's part of what, you know, the different aspects of amateur radio. It's very important, by the way, to not bash any side of amateur radio. People bash FT8, say, oh, well, that's why there's nobody on the bands. Nope. That's not the reason. Have you called CQ? Because that guy that's whining is probably the one that never calls CQ. Well, you're part of the problem already. No, FTA doesn't bash or doesn't mean it's not because of FTA the bands are dead. The thing is, people talk about their prostate. Well, amateur radio will reflect what people in life are all about. But that's where you come in as an amateur radio operator. Why don't you go on the air and talk about things that you want to talk about rather than listen or join some gang that talks about their prostates? That is the thing, I tell you, when I am going to be licensed, there's going to be a hell of a lot of different weird digital modes that you've never heard before that I'm going to try and I want to have contacts with. Will I dabble FT8? Like everybody, by curiosity and, just, of course, why not? It's part of the ham, baggage of knowledge. Okay? We could call it like that. The ham baggage of knowledge. Is it what I'm going to do all the time? No. Will I talk? Yes. Because I'm a blabbermouth and I do it here. And I want to talk. I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to type to you. I want to talk to you. I'm going to do SSTV. I'm going to do all sorts of these weird. I will type because I will do all these weird modes that nobody uses. It's like, hey, I'm going to actually do announcements when I am ham. I'm pretty sure I'm going to okay, I'm going to go on the bands tonight, 20 meters, that frequency or around there. And let's do some Hellschreiber or whatever mode that nobody ever uses. Let's have fun with what people don't do. That will be the ham I'm going to be. And try to, maybe it's another side that I'm going to have. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to be a shortwave guy still. I'm still going to do these shows. I'm going to still post tons of videos here. But I'm going to also be the ham guy that, let's have somebody promote amateur radio the way it should be rather than those boring people that, I've rarely seen somebody capable of talking of amateur radio in a way that sounds interesting. If it would be just the way I see amateur radio right now, and even more, maybe it's why I've never become a ham in almost 40 years of radio listening. I look at it all and it's like, okay, yeah, no, you know what? My radio listening is fine. Because nobody does something. Of course, somebody does something. I've had occasions where I've seen things that attracted me terribly. When we had balloons sent up, weather balloons with repeaters sent up that went up to 100,000 feet with repeaters on 2 meters. That's the side of amateur radio. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Sporadic E-skip, getting 6 meters, hearing AM radio contacts from Brazil and Mexico. I was like, this is so cool on 15 megahertz. This is amazing. This is the ham I'm going to be. That's what interests me. But I'm not going to be on a 2-meter net talking about, the beautiful weather we're having tonight. I'm not going to be there. I might just for the fun of it, like the first day I get my ham license. Well, I'm a new ham, and people are going to say, oh, well, congratulations, blah, blah. But that's the thing. John Beckham, Jill is the lobbyist for ham radio. Anthony says, tell us about the Chinese propaganda in English channel. We got to stop bashing China and got to stop bashing, every country has its own propaganda. Every country. Listen to the Voice of America, okay? I don't want to be negative about anything U.S., but it's the U.S. voice of propaganda, and that is clear. Every country does that. Still, Voice of America is interesting. There's interesting stuff in there. That's the way it is. And I got nothing to say about, whatever China does on shortwave or You know, I'm let's keep it like to the fun and to whatever. But shortwave's that. Lewis, shortwave's danger is budget cuts. Absolutely, absolutely. I totally understand PA1SBM, um, but don't take it that way because people don't know. People have no idea. Do not be offended or insulted because I got that here, even as a radio listener. I'm sure some of you out there, as shortwave radio listeners, had that. Oh, you do CB? Oh, you have a CB? No, it's a shortwave radio. I saw people with my ICOM at least a dozen times. People came here and it's like they saw my ICOM, my CRD 500. It's like, oh, you do CB? No, I don't do CB. But don't feel insulted because they just don't know. Like we didn't know. I didn't know anything about this hobby in 1982. I didn't even know amateur radio existed until I got my first radio. That's and until my sister became a ham. And it was like, oh, look at that. If I didn't have a radio and didn't know better, I probably would have gone to my sister's home back then and said, oh, a CB radio. Oh, it's a ham radio. Yeah, Robert. Yeah, Bitcoin mining. Oh, man. BT Radio, 17855 loud. What about you? 17855 is. I think they end at 23 or 22. I got nothing on 17855. I do have Turkey on 9830 though. Sorry, I'm very, very late in the chat room right now. Probably they went off at 22 because there's nothing right now on 17855 at 2213. Okay, let's see here. Let me try to. Fortunately, my shortwave radio stopped working. Oh man, sorry, man. If you can get something to replace it. Sanjit, we all did these weird things that we don't know if it's legal or not. John Beckham, yes, we need to support our habit of shortwave listening, and that's writing to stations. I can tell you that. Barry, lately I felt the need to rebuild my station on AM, and podcasts like the Shortwave Report was one of the station's go-to shows. Dave, what weather station is that on your deck? I don't remember the model number, but it's one of those Lacrosse technology weather stations with a color screen that I purchased at Canadian Tires here for like a third of the price that they actually sell it for. I really like it. The wind indication is not very accurate, but the rest is really nice. Yeah, Spain is broadcasting from Noblejas, the Noblejas transmitter site near Madrid. Absolutely. Well, here I'm in Canada, so I would have to be in trouble with the CRTC, which is a Canadian equivalent of the FCC. But no, never done. I've done. I've been a bad boy of CB radio. I've been one of the guys that didn't necessarily play nice all the time, but I was not the idiot that interrupts everybody. I what I would do is in the 80s I would key up my CB radio and do radio stations like a pirate radio station on a CB channel for like an hour or two which is technically illegal. You know. Mobile Armor Strike Command, you're a great human being for feeding the stray cat. Well, sort out the cats. Oh man, your radio fell out the side of the bed. This is so sad. How many toilets just flushed? Oh man. So sad about your accident. Yeah, that's why you know what, VT Radio, I used to throw out the food because at first she didn't come up here. She didn't want to approach at all, at all. And what happened is I would, throw out the food in the yard and she would eat it there. But then, like you do that after a month and a half, there's like 15 cats that come to eat. And you don't want that. And you don't want that in the neighbor's yard. And then you look at what's happening is like, you got like, skunks and all sorts of things. And you're like, okay, I think I can't continue doing that. Okay. Because I'm attracting everything in the neighborhood that wants to eat. So what I did is I looked because she would come when I was not, when I was in my office because Paul the cat goes outside. I leave the door here open all the time. So Paul can go out, and if he wants to go in and I'm busy, he'll be able to get in the house. So she started coming over because I noticed the plates of food would go, would empty. And I was like, And a couple of times while walking really slowly, I could spot her. She was like running away because she heard me come, but I could see that it was her that was actually coming and eating into Paul's bowl of food. So what I did is slowly, I would talk to her and say, "Come over, come over," and she would meow because she knew I would throw food out, but it was like, no, I'm not gonna throw food. You want to come over? You're gonna come over, okay? Because I'm not doing that anymore. And one day, she was at the stairs in the balcony here. She wasn't sure, and I was talking. I was like, come on. I'm not a bad guy. You got some food here. And I took a can of food, opened it, put it in the bowl, and showed her and everything. And she came and she ate, and she ran away real fast once it was over. But as time goes by, she's getting better and better. So it's like, it's kind of cute. And in the winter time, when it's really cold, she actually slept here quite a few times last winter when it was like minus 20 degrees. And she would sleep here at night. So, but she doesn't like to stay in a home if it's nice outside. Okay. Barry says I have the same mic stand. I had some trouble just keeping it in one piece. Yeah, you know what? It's because it's very thin on the where I because I tried to find where could I clip the microphone, and it was kind of complicated. So it's like I'm gonna clip it next to the rail, but it's very thin and it doesn't hold well. So it's like okay. David in Barcelona, ¿cómo está mi amigo? WF7I Homebrew, bonsoir, nice to have you on board. It's like wonderful weather here. Yep, absolutely, amazing. And it's about 70, 72 right now. We're really nice here. Alex says in the Netherlands, it's past midnight now. Hey, Marcel, nice to have you here. And what else do we have? Sid, evening. Any thoughts on cheap U-loop antenna, blue coax version? I've got various receivers plus RSP1A. Yes, I'm in a noisy environment. Great show tonight, by the way. I mean, look, magnetic loops and antennas are great. And
they lower noise, and is the whatever you buy, it's going to work fine. I should purchase a U-loop and test it here. I think that would be fair, and I could really talk about it more. I've followed many YouTubers that have the MLA30 in the U-loop. I mean, the U-loop is fine, but it's a passive loop. The MLA30 is an active loop. Part of what I've read and seen is the misunderstanding. And what I mean by that is that when you plug in a U loop and you plug in MLA30, the first thing people look at is noise. And what they don't understand is that, of course, there's higher noise because the MLA30 is amplified. It amplifies everything it gets. And not enough people actually look at the noise to signal ratio, which is what you should check at. Not what's the noise on your radio, what's the signal compared to that noise on your radio. The MLA30 is a very quiet antenna in the amplification. And I think a lot of people that say, well, the U loop is better, just miss out on what the MLA30 is all about. But you know what? Whatever you have, it's fine. Yeah, Esteban, outside. Nice setup, eh? John Beckham. What I like about Jill's shortwave program is that it is unrehearsed between cat breaks and microphone checks. Vince, I have maritime weather on 8764. Yeah, that is from Chesapeake, Virginia. Chesapeake, Virginia is the maritime weather broadcast. I don't know if it's still on. Yep. You could try 6501. So 6501 8764 13089. That one doesn't come in. Or very weak. That's NMN Marine Weather broadcast from Chesapeake, Virginia. TVDXer, I have a tech question about Dolby Atmos surround sound on my home theater. Do you know anything about this topic? What do you know? What do you want to know about it? Marcel, I bought an ATS-20 on eBay 2 months ago. What a piece of shit. It's not. It's actually not bad. And tuning knob isn't that bad. Well, I don't know if you got a bad one, but it's actually mine was very surprising and works well. It's just the only problem with the stock software on it is how it freezes all the time, and you got to restart it. But for the rest, I'm actually surprised at that little thing. Honestly, you guys make me feel to take out my ATS-20 and my Chinese Malachite tonight. Kamexi 76. I keep forgetting to ask: can long wire antennas degrade after a few years of use? My signals aren't as good. What you need to check is not the wire itself. What you need to check is the connections. There's definitely a degrading of the connection. So everywhere where you have a joint where that wire will connect to another part that goes to another part, all of these are where you need to check. The wire itself, especially if it has the insulation on it. Technically, there's not going to be any difference in 100 feet of wire now and 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 3 years from now. Really, what's going to change is everywhere there's a connection. Everywhere, so that wire connects to this box. That connection is to check. The box might need to be checked. The other connector to the radio needs to be checked. And one of the things that you might not notice, and that is something I have noticed, say that you take 5 years um, there is a noticeable less amount of signals of many things that might lead you to believe your antennas are not as good, but in reality is that there's just less signals out there. And those that are there, it's one of the things that shortwave broadcasters do a lot is test out saying, I used to broadcast with 500 kilowatts, but now I'm broadcasting with 100 kilowatts. And it seems people are listening in. It's still weaker. And especially if you were on the fringe of the listening, in the target area, going from 500 to 100 kilowatts might not be a big difference. You might not even notice. But if you're on the fringe area of the listening, that signal was S5 on my meter and a little bit noisy. Well, that switch from 500 to 100 kilowatts is bringing that signal to it was listenable but noisy a little bit to it's just noisy. So there's all of that can happen. But I don't believe that the wire itself, for example, well, anything's going to change. It might change over a very long period of time, but if it's not insulated, of course, there's corrosion. Metals corrode. Still, I don't think of, personally, a copper wire, insulated copper wire, let's say we put it out for 5 years. Apart from the fact that everything's going to break down, or maybe the wire can break down, I don't think it's going to be less effective in 5 years than it is today, personally. N6 RLS, check out the MFJ 1026 signal enhancer noise canceller. Maybe I should check it out. I've seen a lot of those noise cancelers. Maybe I should check it out. Oh, yeah, that definitely is James Johnson. When people go to sleep, all the electronics they shut down often it shows up. There's less noise. People shut down the lighting systems, the TVs, and all the electronics they use, the computers, for sure. Well, that's not impossible, Mark. If the cable, set some new wires. Frank, 9830, S9 plus 60 here. Cool. MLA30 works with text and radio, yes. But MLA30 is a cheap one. It works great. And that's what I would use. If I was in the balcony in the front, I would use the MLA30 on this. I'm using the W6LVP loop here on this. Rennie has Radio Marti 11930 in Italy. Pretty strong on the PL330 and telescopic. Cool. Well, like I said, Esteban, for noise level, pretty much everything that is lowering noise is magnetic loops because of the way they work. And DK2, people blaming FT8 for lack of band activity are those who love talking others to death on the radio. Some people love to chat, others don't. Oh, absolutely. And we talked about it in the past a few times. Not everybody is some people are shy. They don't feel comfortable talking to someone they don't know over the radio. That's also something like that. WS7i Homebrew, I guess everyone has their idea of enjoyment of ham radio. I do love all the digital modes as well as CW. Voice is a bit harder to be heard without more power, good antennas. Yeah, there's tons of things in amateur radio, and that's part of the fun. and let's leave everybody want to do what they want to do. You want to do FT8 and only that? Fine. It's amateur radio and you do that, and it's cool. You want to talk? Yeah, Shelly, nice to have you on board from South Central Pennsylvania. The prostate gangs. Oh, man, the prostate gangs. Yeah, Matt, that's what I would do. Absolutely. Arrange some of the things ahead of time. Absolutely. You're totally right, man. But I would be the one to do that because that's what I want to do. I want to have fun with those things. You know. When you talk about CQ, what I notice is people that want to call CQ with voice. What happens is that they just do it patiently. For I've heard hams call CQ for 25 minutes before somebody answered. I mean, they're super patient. Well, he slap says it took me 20 years to get my ham license because of crappy clubs. I tried a ridiculously complicated procedure, but with a bit of patience, it's a very nice hobby. You know, Bernie Dodge got my ticket after 50 years of shortwave listening for all those same reasons. Ham conversations where you're boring and Neanderthal, living as the RFT8 and experimenting with loops now. KB1BD. Chastang, Joe, I understand. I nearly turned away from shortwave due to the folks that wouldn't help with questions or thought you had to have only expensive radios. I went ahead and experimented and enjoyed listening. One of the first things here, I don't talk about tabletop radios or expensive radios much because the majority of people you're going to bring into the hobby are not going to buy expensive radios. The real crazy badass guys like I am are the ones that bought an ICOM ICR 8500 or might buy an ICOM ICR 8600 and if you have the money for it, and it's cool, but that's not bringing anybody in the hobby. Hey, I want to be a shortwave listener. Yeah, well, you got a $3,000 radio here. Yeah, you lost him for life. I mean, that's why I'm tired of, I got so much crap comments of people. Well, you should stop talking about crappy Chinese crap. And, you know, when you look at that and you're like, yeah. I'm sorry, but the Chinese crap that you talk about is actually pretty decent. And that Chinese crap is what's keeping the hobby alive. So maybe we should just embrace the fact that, yeah, it comes from China, but it works really well. And I got to say, people that wouldn't be in the hobby are in the hobby because they got the money to pay for a radio that is decent. I mean, the hobby changed so much. The hobby changed to a point where what we buy today is so inexpensive compared to buying a good radio in 1985. In 1985, we would drool over the radio we can't purchase. In 2021, you can purchase that good radio because it's inexpensive enough for you to dish out that money to buy it. That's the thing. All right, JD Dakota, if I tune through 20 to 40 meters, someone's always contesting rather than actually talking. Yeah, but that's okay. Contest is part of all this stuff, TVDXer, do you have your sister's ham equipment? No. So I remember she had a Yaesu FT 101 or something that was very popular in the 80s. One of the first really popular Yaesu FT. Trying to remember. For some reason, FT 101 brings up a memory. Um, Dr. Sisop, nice to have you on board. N6RLS still working on learning Morse. Contests put a lot of signals on the air. It's amazing how many signals you see when there's contests with CW. Kimberly says, "Welcome to the 20-meter prostate net. Taking check-ins now. Call sign, please." Oh God. CQ, can I interest you in my colonoscopy results? Me a bad boy, but nah, I couldn't be. What do we have? What do we have? The solid state net. I like that. Oh man. Mr. Beam. Malaysia still has a shortwave outlet, I believe, but it's difficult in North America. Singapore, nope. Thailand is Radio Thailand International. Indonesia still has some local stuff. Difficult to hear in North America. No prostate news, but my lumbago. Cap Destre, nice to have you here from Barcelona. Well, the average age of ham radio operators are actually higher. That's for sure. That's for sure. N6RLS, when I use FLDG on the ham radio digital modes, I always send a transmit ID to alert others of the mode if they have our receive ID on. Yeah, that does help quite a lot. Take care, Mad Radio DXer. Stay safe. Always nice to have you on board. Okay, let's check it out here. Anything else? Trying to catch up a little bit here. The noise you're getting, Vince, is much more external to the radio, the RSP1A itself. The RSP1A, from experience, with good USB cables that have chokes, ferrite chokes on them, is very low from the computers and from the stuff. What most of the noise on the RSP1A or on the SDRs in general is like every radio, like the radio I got here, external to it. The RSP1A might have a plastic casing, but it does have a metallic paint on it inside to reduce noise and isolate. F7I Ombrew says, "Strange, no pirates tonight. Everyone on holiday." Yeah, but usually it's the time when pirates actually do broadcast. It is kind of weird. Maybe it's a little early. Maybe that's Glenn Zekman. Nice to have you here from Tennessee. EC Fetters Walp. Let's hear from the introverts like me who much prefer listening on shortwave rather than talking on the airwaves. Yep, and there's a lot of people like that. Ah, man, wasps, go away. TVDXer. So I'm stuck shutting off the receiver and listening through the. Yeah, there's a lot of devices that do tons of problems with noise. Kevin, Icon 7300 back in stock under 1,000 US now. Really tempted, but all the antenna issues on my GH are difficult. They have a connector accessory for mag loop. That's interesting. WF7I Ombrew. I purchased a Texan PL660 on Amazon last year. Then after I move, I can't find a plug wall charger for it. And I don't recall if it came with one or was just USB. The 660, I believe, comes with a wall charger. Listing claims it came with an AC/DC. Yes, you did have an AC/DC adapter. You definitely did have. I'm pretty sure you had an AC/DC adapter because I think it came with the same that you get with the 680 and the 600. They're all three have the same power adapter. Matt, as an introvert, I can testify that there's fun to be had transmitting on HF, but for me, it's not a rack choose. But I respect those whom it is. Ham radio is a huge, wide open hobby, and that's not well known. Yeah. Personally, Glenn, I don't care where the radio's made. You know, we all want to have a U.S. made, a Canadian made, or whatever made radio, and there are some. If you want to shed out those $10,000, you're going to get that U.S. made radio. There's a couple of manufacturers, but honestly, um, we got to look beyond that. I don't care where it's made. I don't care the Texan is made in China. Personally, I have nothing to care about that. It's a great radio. I'm happy and I have it and I enjoy it. That's the important thing to me. And we got to stop thinking in things like that. That's a way to, you know, thinking of well, everything's going to be made in the country where you live is something that will never happen. It once was possible to have radios made in Canada, in US, and whatever. That's gone. And we got to stop focusing on that because that's never coming back. And focusing on, well, we got to bring back stuff. That doesn't happen. What about thinking of let's just make whatever job exists and things exist in the world the best for us? Manufacturing is the crappiest thing that you can have, honestly, in most countries. That's why it's gone in China because people are not getting paid there, you know? And do you want to have crappy jobs back? No, because most of the jobs gone are the crappy jobs. We don't want to have that. There's way other things we can do, way other things that are better. And it's untrue that, you know, things have changed in the labor market for sure. But you know, when you look at the amount of people working, I mean, the unemployment isn't that high. And maybe we're better off with good jobs or better jobs than crappy jobs that have gone to China. And that's all I got to say with that. And I don't care if a radio is made in China. I don't care if it's made in Thailand. I don't care if it's made in Taiwan. I don't care if it's made in Japan. If it's good and it does what I want, it's all I care about. Okay? There's so many other things to take care of to make sure that our countries, the US and Canada and whatever, is, you know, going in the right direction. And crappy manufacturing jobs is not what we want. That's all. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod. And it's beautiful in Montreal, absolutely. About 70, I would say now it's about 72, 73. What else do we have? Paul, changing USB A B cable on RSPDX makes a big difference. Yeah. You have to have a good cable. That is very important with the ferrite chokes on it. It does make a difference. That for sure. Because your computer does bring a lot of noise in the device. And 6RLS says Yisu's current FTDX 101 is named to tribute the venerable FT 101 from decades ago. So I'm pretty sure it's an FT 101. I remember when I had my DX 100 and we would go to my sister's place, and then my sister and her boyfriend and my parents would play cards. I would actually look at my sister and she would always look at me and say, yeah, you can go down the basement and tune the radio. And I remember tuning that old Yaesu. I still have the look and the feel of tuning the Yaesu. Unfortunately, back then the radios were ham bands only, pretty much. It's sad that they didn't make those radios like today. Most transceivers also are general coverage. I still don't understand why they didn't do that back then. They were like really, you know, maybe it's because of the transmit. It was kind of complicated. I don't know. Ah, man. There's a lot of Asian signals in the morning, John Beckham. The other day, yesterday morning, I had to wake up earlier than usual. And I was surprised to see the KBS South Korea 15575 was good. And there were several frequencies of Asian signals. They're pretty amazing. James Johnson, speaking of the PL600, I find if you turn the switch on the side to local, it doesn't overdrive as much, which is normal because it kind of desensitizes the radio a little bit. Especially in sometimes listening to like to single sideband, it sometimes helps, and especially with the harsh audio it has also. I've never looked into the wind radios, stuff like that. I always looked at them, yes, but you know what? They were so expensive that I never went into any of them. But and it's cool because today, you know what? We finally have the the possibility of getting SDRs at a decent price. At a decent price. You know. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? Glenn Zeckman, I agree with you. You know, Dr. Sisson, there's no countries that is an absolute worst. When you put the money and when they decide that the plant has a minimum of quality, every country does a good job. It's always, it's always a it's it's depends on what you decide you want to have. You know, you go back in the 50s when we talked about how, you know, everything made in Japan was crappy. In the 50s, Japan was the China of today. How many Japanese radios and how many Japanese things we purchased over the years? Sony. It's funny how we never complain about Sony radios made in Japan, but we're complaining about Texan radios made in China. I'm sorry. Why didn't you complain about Sony radios made in Japan? It's the same thing all over again, all the time. It's funny. No, these were great. Oh, so what? Because they were great, nobody complained. And a lot of the comments of, oh, China makes crappy stuff. Yeah, because you buy the crappy stuff. And you go to the dollar store and pay $2 for something that you should pay $10 for. And you wonder why it's crappy. It's not because it's made in China, it's because you're too cheap to buy a good one. It's a very different thing. John Beckham says the Chinese, generally speaking, build quality radios, and I think there is a false stereotype just because Chinese labor cheaper. China is not a perfect country, and there's a lot of things we gotta keep an eye on. There's a lot of things we gotta always just understand that human rights are not much of a thing in China. And I that we have to, I get that, but I mean, that's the way we are right now. Everything's made in China. Everything's made in China. You got to deal with it, and we don't want to have that back here anyways. Good quality jobs are not the ones that went to China. Good quality jobs are what went to China. The bad jobs, I mean, went to China. Matt says I stopped checking KBS 15575 13 Zulans SDRs around the country. I got it on my home QTH on August 1st. Latest. Wow. Mike WX50 always wanted a bumper sticker that says ban bumper stickers. I like that. Oh, man. Yeah. Paul Steckler says, yep, paid 100,000 Australian for my Win Radio Excalibur when living in Australia. That was a lot, but the radio was far better than any radio I'd had before. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, these radios were good for when they came out. Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember being amazed at the ones that, you know, those big cards that you would put in the 486 PC that would actually bring radio to your. It's like, whoa, okay. Actually, I would like an old 486 PC with one of those old radio cards in it, in one of the ISA slots, or I don't think it was PCI at the time. It was really ISA. Oh yeah, iPhones are made in China. People are going crazy over it. You know, if the Texan H501X was made in the US, instead of costing 200 and some US dollars, it cost 700 US dollars. Nobody would buy it. It's sad. You know, I understand the sad side of that, but we got to stop whining about jobs going to another country. Because you can whine about jobs going to another country when your country has no jobs to offer. It ain't the case. Unemployment in Canada and the US is low. Just make better jobs, and that's it. And let the crappy ones go away. Who cares if it's made somewhere else? A crappy job is not worth having in our own country, anyways. Nicholas, good evening. Nice to have you here. K9XN in Indiana. All right, JD Dakota. I like Sony products and they are great, but have generally always preferred Matsushita, Panasonic. Yeah, those were really, really nice. Panasonic was my go-to thing. Vince, I should have bumper sticker, hoodie, and T-shirt. I got a shortwave. I got a Chinese shortwave radio. Oh man. Yeah. WF7I, voice of the report of the week on WRMI, strong as always. John, radio jamming out with the tunes and some 80s stuff. Cygnus Rider, I don't complain about Panasonic radios made in Japan either. I have a few of the 60s, 70s, no shortwave models. We didn't complain about that in the 80s. No one, I've never ever heard somebody complain about, well, that's made in Japan. You know, even when, you know, in the 80s, what country made a lot of our stuff that came to Radio Shack? Taiwan. How many radios and how many things you bought made in Taiwan? Did you complain? We didn't complain. We would not complain about that. So for some reason today, we got to complain about China. I don't know. I don't get it. I get it because there's a lot of bad stuff there, but I don't get it. Aha. WWV and CHU check, says Dr. Sisop. Okay. Let's start with CHU 3330. CHU is very, very weak right now. 7850. Nothing. 14670. Nothing. Let's try 25,000 for WWV. Nothing. 20 megahertz. Nothing. 15 megahertz. Pretty good. That's 15 megahertz. Now let's try 10 megahertz. Not too bad too. 10 megahertz. And of course, 5,000 is not there for sure. It's too early. So we got 15 and 10 for WWV. What else do we have? Barry says, I owned a Sony Walkman that worked great for 12 years before it finally said it's done. Chaz Tank, you're right. Used to be you bought Japanese junk. Now it's buy Japanese. It's quality, not like China junk. Man. Mike WXDX50. I'm a fan of Panasonic brand too. Yeah, Panasonic is really, really, really good brand. We didn't talk enough of Panasonic. Everybody was going to Sony. If you had a Sony and a Panasonic, most people would go to Sony. I would go to Panasonic because I always loved the quality of everything I purchased. Every single thing I purchased Panasonic, I've never had a bad experience. It was always great. Always great. Matt says all that stuff was nothing but bias anyway, whether it was Japan 30, 40 years ago or China today. Things are crappy. Things that are crappy are those that are made and sold cheaply. You get what you pay for. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Kevin. Nice to have you here. And happy to be here on Saturday. Tristan, reception is on the good side tonight in my corner of the world. Cool. John Beckham says, I agree with you, Joe, that China is helping to keep our hobby of shortwave radio listening alive because of the good, solid radios that they do indeed manufacture. And, there's a lot of stuff. You're happy to have your, 60-inch big screen TV for a price that you can actually afford. Well, that goes with it's made in China. You know what? We were all stuck with a 20-inch TV in the 80s. Why? Because TVs were too expensive. I bet you're happy to have your 60-inch from China today. RJ88 Dakota was quite a few receivers by Panasonic, such as the RF 2200, 2800, small portable here in the US, RF 085, which everywhere else was a different number. Man, I miss my my portable Panasonics, the RF B300 and the RF 2800. I wish I had kept those. Man, I miss those radios. I look sometimes on eBay to see if somebody's selling one at a decent price, but it's impossible to buy at a decent price. WF7i Homebrew, remember the anti-Japan radio tech hostility in the 80s and 90s? Ironically, most of those brands are made in China now. Yep. Yeah, because even Japan is moving their production to China because it's cheaper. Matt has WWV 5 megahertz, but, he's close to it. James Johnson, yeah, Malaysia was another one that had a lot of electronics coming out. Malaysia, Taiwan, that was extremely popular for a lot of electronics and a lot of stuff we bought at Radio Shack also. Jason V9 at JMC has CHO on 7850. So, no, the 7850 here, Jason, is in Montreal is a rare catch. Propagation needs to be very unique for CF7850 to actually come in at some point. And actually, the way it is right now positioned is actually the best for a CHU. What the hell is happening? Somebody got slapped and is crying now. Somebody did something bad. Mike WDX50. I like Panasonic's slogan, slightly ahead of our time. JD Dakota. Sony receivers are a little more delicate and fluky to operate. Chance Tank. I still have a few Panasonic and Sony portable AM/FM pocket radios. They still work. I won. What? Okay, here it is. I won in I won in a contest at school. That's cool. That's cool. Keegan has 15 megahertz WWVH with static crashes. Magic 76. I like South Park and all the stuff that they have. Yeah, RF 2800, it was a monster. Absolutely. Like there's this Panasonic made the best plasma TVs. I have one since 2009. Brian Ventenheimer, nice to have you here. Correct. Price usually dictates quality. I wish there were kits offered again. Building your own would be cool. Yeah. I think it's something that a lot of people don't want to do anymore. Nobody wants to build something. You know, we're in the generation, and that I believe is true. Apart from a subset of people, we are in a generation that does not want to build something. I want to have it in my hand working. I don't want to build it. Singapore, yep, RGA Dakota. Singapore was also quite a manufacturer. Singapore, yep. Yeah, a lot of Radio Shack was made in Taiwan. Miller Time, just tuned in. What radio is that? That's the Texan H501X. Probably made in China. Oh, God. Nice to have you here, Brian. WF7I Umbro. Guess the fall propagation is changing things. Radio New Zealand on 13840. Not audible tonight. Yeah, yep. We are getting in there. We are getting to that time when propagation isn't, isn't the same. We're changing. WF7I Umbro. WWV report. 15 megahertz. Very strong. No 20, no 25. 10 strong. 2.5 and 5 not in yet. Same as here, pretty much. And to Central Virginia. Artist Ali Crafter's Kitchen. Sony radios tended to have more gimmicks, like sync detect. Panasonics may have had fewer features, with the build quality second to none. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Luxman, the Japanese brand Class A amplifier. Love it. Was great. Cool. Matt says it's not exactly our fault we don't much fix things. They're manufactured specifically to either require a pro to fix or to break and be replaced. You know, as a tech guy, I came from the year 2000 when I had to, deal with computers with Windows 98 and then Windows Millennium and then Windows XP and all of that. But computers that were of a price tag, we often talk about how people that repair stuff are, oh, that's super expensive. But when you're at the end of the guy that repairs, I mean, you got to make a living. I can't repair your stuff for $10 because I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. And I got a lot of, oh man, you're so expensive. Well, I'm sorry, but I have to operate a business, go to your place, fix your computer, and in all of that, I have to always constantly be ahead of time in everything and technology, which means buying stuff, buying new computers, learning more, because you got to learn in tech. You got to learn all the time. And in many fields, it's that also. So people would say it was like, it cost me $80. You were here 30 minutes. It took me an hour to come here. Then you had 30 minutes, and it's going to take me an hour to go back. That for me is 2 hours and 30 minutes, first of all. Second of all, if you find it expensive, um, do you have the knowledge to fix this? No, I have the knowledge. Knowledge you got to pay for. And um, what made me get out of the tech fixing stuff is that, first of all, I'm tired of people not understanding that fixing and going to fix your stuff. You got a $1,000 TV. It's going to cost you $200 to get it fixed. I personally, if that fix is going to make it run for another few years, at least, for me, it's a ratio that I'm acceptable. It's better than paying another 1,000 for another TV. But a lot of people are on the impression that oh well, you guys exaggerate, and no, I've got to pay to go to your place. I have all of this thing to run. Plus, you know what? That $80 you gave me, I got to pay taxes on them. I don't get $80 in my pocket. Okay, I pay tax to the government and everything, and it gets to a point where you're like, go f yourself. And it really does. At some point, you're really in the mood of, why don't you go f yourself? Why don't you shove that computer up your ass real deep and keep it? Because you get to a point where, okay, because I'm sorry, but nothing is free, and people don't understand what running a business is all about and how it costs and everything, all the costs that go with it. And then you have the transport to go to that place to go fix your computer and everything. And add to that, when in 2000, a computer was, you know, $1,800, you could fix it for, you change a hard drive, you do all sorts of things. And it's like, it's going to be 300. People are like, well, 300 is better than 2000 for a new one. And it works, and it's going to work for years. When I left the tech fixing, people had $400 computers. Do you think I'm going to lower my price of fixing your computer? No. I'm going to do something else in life, which thankfully I am. But people would call me and say, well, I bought this computer for $300 and you say it's going to cost me $150 to fix it. Yep. And sometimes they would like, well, can we deal something? Nope, it's $150. I remember some saying, well, screw you, you're too expensive. Screw you, you got a computer that doesn't work. I don't care. Go buy another one. It gets to a point where you're like, no, I'm not going to do that for the rest of my life. I remember my uncle was a TV radio repair guy. I mean, in the 70s or 80s, a 26-inch TV was, so expensive. And of course, repair was expensive, but less expensive than it would be in 2020. But you'd have it fixed because it was less expensive than buying a new TV. But I remember my uncle. Oh man, my uncle. I got a good. My uncle died of cancer, and in 1995 or something. He was young. He was like 59 or 58. So, anyways, I still remember when I got my Kenwood R5000, and this is such a nice souvenir because my uncle, well, we have several uncles in life, but my uncle Andre, like Cool AM, Andre, his name was Andre, was on my mom's side. And we always had a little affinity because I liked electronics and we talked electronics every time we met. And when I got my Kenwood R5000 in 1990, I don't know for what occasion, he came over and he was there and I showed him my Kenwood R5000. And when a guy is passionate about electronics, I still remember that today. I said, well, I haven't installed it yet, but I've got the AM filter to change. And you know what he did? Immediately, he looked at me and said, how about we do it now? I'm going to help you. If there's something wrong, I'm here. We'll figure it out together. And I said, Okay, cool. And I remember taking the top off the Kenwood R5000, and we went to look at where the filter went. And he looked at the board and said, "Look, it goes here. We got to remove that old filter that they put and put that filter instead." And it's like, "Oh, cool." And he did it for me. And it was like, he was passionate. He wanted to see the inside of the Kenwood R5000 receiver. He wanted to see all of it. He was like, and he looked at me. He says, "Wow, this is a really nice receiver." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And but that's what changes over time. Um, Now today, laptops come out with almost no possibility of fixing anything. You know. Oh, by the way, the RAM's on the motherboard. Yeah, but it's because the RAM is faulty. So you got to change the motherboard. That's what you're telling me. It's not let's fix stuff today. That's gone. I can tell you that. So I'm happy to be here doing this. I have no regrets. I see one guy that was one of my competition still advertising, and I'm like, man, I don't know how much you charge, but it must be cheap because people are cheap and they don't want to pay today. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. Oh man. Matt says I remember taking my first Walkman to some shop to be fixed when it started wearing down, and they told me it wasn't worth it. Yep. Which is pretty much all today. Mine WX50, I have a Pioneer Japan brand AVR receiver I use now for my home theater. Pretty happy with the Pioneer brand. Yeah, Pioneer was a decent brand too. RJ Dakota. No, a lot of people need something to do now with their hands and may keep them out of trouble. And I'm a shortwave radio. Quick, yes, and bring him here on the shortwave channel. Barry, my Radio Shack DX390 is rebranded Sanjian ATS 8818. Yep. A lot of Sanjian receivers were Radio Shack branded, like the ATS 909, which was the Radio Shack DX398. James Johnson, one of the jobs I had when I was younger, I built transformers. I couldn't see myself doing it the rest of my life. Paul Heathkit had a great catalog. Oh, Heathkit was nice. The catalog was the type of catalog you were going to drool over, honestly. And 6RLS Elecraft might still have kit versions of some of their stuff. Yeah, the right to repair stuff. Absolutely. Keegan has got a Radio Shack DX402 since the early 2000s. Yeah. Rob, they are paying for your knowledge and wisdom. Yep. Absolutely. WF7i Homebrew. We wouldn't have had an Apple had I not grown up in a very open technology world. Mr. Wozniak. Matt, I get that you need to charge what you have to. I've just never I've never been a cheapskate that way. I want to pay someone to fix things so that they won't just fill the landfills with junk. Fortunately, it was split in half. In my tech jobs, there were people that were willing to pay whatever it takes to have their computer working again for a long time because it's there, it exists and it works. And once it's fixed, if it lasts for years, perfect. And then there was the other side, and what really hurt the most was the cheap computers. You know, especially trying to people are weary of a tech or a repair guy. They're all like, yeah, repair guys always find problems because they want to make money. And I always would tell everybody, because one of the things that was funny is somebody would tell me, yeah, you want to change my hard drive because you're going to make money over it. And I said, in today's market, your hard drive, I'm making $5 on it. I don't give a damn about changing it for $5. Honestly, If it was not broken, I would not tell you because it's actually an extra thing to do for me. But it is, dying. I don't give a damn about it because I'm making $5 of profits on the hard drive. Yeah, $5 is going to change my life. Stop thinking people want to, sell you parts for money. In some of the markets, like computers, a small guy like me is not making profit. I'm not a guy making profit on the hard drive or on RAM memory or whatever. Because you know what? It's one of those markets where nobody makes money. I'm making money on repairing a computer, not changing that hard drive. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't do it. Stop thinking like that. It was just like, yeah. But cheap computers, Vista. When Vista came out, the worst thing that Vista had, and it's part of why Vista has such a bad rep. It's because people bought computers with like a Windows Vista with two gigs of RAM. And then you call me and it's, oh, my computer's slow. Yeah, you got 2 gigs of RAM on Windows Vista. Not even one. I remember one gig of RAM. Yeah, you don't have enough RAM memory. Well, I don't think it has. It was fast when I bought it. Yeah, it was nothing on it. My thing that I would do all the time back then was people were saying, well, my computer's slow. Yeah, you don't have enough memory. Well, it ran fine. You don't have enough memory. And what I would do is I had spare RAM in my bag. What I would do is, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to show you what RAM does. And I would take that computer that had 1 gig of RAM and I would shove 4 gigs of RAM. And then we'd turn it on and it was like, man, it's so fast. Yeah, because RAM memory is like very important for a computer to run. And you don't have enough of it. But then you have my computer's like $300 and that RAM is worth $60. It's a lot of money. Plus your fee. Yeah. So you want a computer that runs fast or not? You've been too cheapskate and you bought the cheapest computer around. None of my problem. That's why you have problems. That's why I'm here. You would have paid $200 more for that computer, we wouldn't be even talking today. You've just been a cheapskate. That's all. That's all. I mean, I'm not going there. It makes me mad when I think some of those things, but not at all. You know what? I've had some amazing clients that actually, I've met one of my old clients. She's really nice woman. About 3 weeks ago, I was out and I went to lunch with a friend at a restaurant on a terrace outside, and I hear Gilles, and I'm turning my head and I recognize her, and it's like, oh, she says, oh, how are you, and so on, and she looked at me and she said, you know what, my computer went bad about a year and a half after you stopped doing stuff. I miss you so much because all the other guys, they don't know what they're doing. I got so tired. You know what you're doing. And I miss you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but yeah, I get it. There are some great, great people. Brian says, as an auto technician for 35 years, I feel your pain. Oh, yeah. I think anybody that does repair of whatever, you get to a point where you're like, yeah, you cheapskate. Matt says, I also don't want to buy new things anytime something goes wrong. It's just wasteful. Yep. My fridge, the fridge I got here, I bought in 2008. And it's so funny. So the refrigerator, and I bought in 2008. In 2018, it had 10 years. I mean, it's a good run, but I mean, it's a refrigerator and it wasn't getting cold at the bottom. My freezer was not bad, but not as cold as it should be. But the bottom part was like it should be like a 2 Celsius, 3 Celsius. It was like a 10 or 11 Celsius. I was like, whoa, this is way too warm. Things are not going to keep it there. And YouTube is a great place for that. I went to YouTube, started looking at, okay, fixing a refrigerator. Can I do something like that? What's wrong with my fridge? I don't know how a fridge works. Let me go check how a fridge works. And then I understood that there's a fan on the top that would actually push the cold everywhere. That fan stopped working. So I found the exact YouTube video that showed me how to actually dismantle my fridge, which was fun because I just followed the video. It's like, okay, there's this hidden screw here, hidden screw here. You got a clip here. You got to, I mean, it was super easy with the video. And I took out the fan. No one had a fan. No one. Everybody was telling me, oh, well, that refrigerator, the fan is discontinued. You should buy a new fridge. The only guy that did say he could fix it, it's like, well, $400 total with the fan. And I said, look, I paid $650 for my fridge. I ain't gonna pay $400 for it because it's 10 years old. And a refrigerator, anything can go wrong. The compressor could go bad, whatever. So I was like, yeah, I buy a new fridge. I called 10 different places. One of them, not very far from here. I said, so I've got this model of refrigerator. The guy says, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to check it out. He says, oh, I got a fan for you. $45. I said, oh, you got the exact actual fan? He says, nope. But when you come and pick up the fan, tell me you're the guy. I'm going to actually show you a little trick. The fan is actually not exactly the same shape. But the guy used to fixing the same fridge and the same type of fridge all the time. He looks at me and says, when you put it in, don't put it in the same position. Twist it in a 45-degree angle. And at the top, the bracket in the fridge, go slowly, but bend it with your hand and put the screw. And then put the ground wire and put the cables to attach the power and everything. He says, this is going to work fine. And I came home. I put it at the angle. I bent the little thing in the fridge. I put all the screws and everything. I just started the fridge. I was like, that works. I put everything back. Hey, been working since. It's like when you find that guy that's just like, yeah, I know what you're going through. And I look at the guy and says, $45 prevented me from throwing away a refrigerator that would have been waste. And now it's going to work. And it still works today, like 3 years later. Funny sometimes. Jason VE9 to DMC. Jill, it's because it's becoming throwaway world. Oh, absolutely. I know. Things today are almost impossible to repair, and it's sad, unfortunately. Matt says Washington State has no income tax. Oregon has no sales tax. The best way to avoid all of that was to live and work in Vancouver, Washington, then cross the river to Portland to buy everything. Wow. Crazy. I don't think a lot of people are making money repairing shortwave radios today. I can tell you that. Oh man. Yep. I went from the computer guy to the shortwave guy, which is much more fun, and he's much more happy like that. Pirate on 6955. 6955. Got nothing here. My WDX50. I went from a shortwave guy to a computer guy, but still a bit of a shortwave guy. Matt says computer parts have shelf life, of overripe fruit. Yep. Anyone thinking you can make money selling excavated parts is clueless. Absolutely. Absolutely. Take care, Tristan. Windows 11 doesn't take more RAM than Windows 10. It's actually very slim. Oh, man, yeah. Computers. Just add memory to the fridge. Man, it says, I have a fridge, washer, and dryer. About 15 years ago, I had to repair the washer twice. The dryer latch is broken, so I have to tape it shut now. But the fridge has no issues. Man, it says, there's an appliance shop near me that has pretty much every part. I've gone there for things to fix the stove and oven. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, Barry, the reason why Mr. Carlson's lab is interesting is because he's dabbling in a very unique niche market. It's as if I would dabble in fixing computers because everybody was going crazy over 46 computers that were, like 2,000, 3,000 dollar computers at the time. And that today we would go back into there's a craze on 486 computers. It's a very niche market, and there's very few people that have the knowledge to fix them. So, if there would be a craze of 486 computers today, well, I'd be the good guy for that because I mean, I've you know I would have the knowledge because I've been there. Chas Tank, your fridge repair guy is a kind that will always build a good rep on word of mouth. Yep. And you know what? If I need parts, because that's the place that has parts for everything, not just fridge, stove, fridge, dishwasher, whatever. He's the first place I'm gonna go to. If I need a part, if I need help, even if I need a repair guy, that place is the first place I'll ever think about, ever. I won't even, go anywhere else. Yeah, I need a repair guy. My dishwasher has a problem. So it's like, that would be the first that I would go to. Because, it was just so cool. 6942 is not a beacon. It's a NATO link 11. It's NATO link 11. That repeating signal. Kamaxi 76. Gang of 4. Is that radio better than PL990? Sensitivity wise, it's pretty much the same, but it is better because of the sound, amazing sound quality, stereo FM, which is something we don't see much anymore. It's just a really, really great radio. Vince, is it a place on Beaubien? No, it's on Jarry Est. Vince, Jarry Est, near Jarry, near Lacordaire. If you know Montreal, which I think you do. So Jarry near Lacordaire. Yes, the sun actually set about 6 or 7 minutes ago here in Montreal. Gang of 4, if I buy a Texan radio, would you recommend Amazon over ordering from China? The only reason I would recommend, if the price isn't much different, the reason I would recommend Amazon is for its return policy. Because buying on eBay or whatever is kind of complex. Buying on Amazon, a return is rarely complex. Usually you just, okay, I want to return this thing, you know, and it's kind of simple. That's why I would recommend Amazon if the radio, the model you're searching for is available because of that fact, honestly. Guys, 2 seconds. I'm going to go pee and I'll be back and we'll see. Oh, man. Oh, God. Youch. And we are back. Yes, I do need a pee break after 3 hours and 30 minutes. I think it's welcome. It's the first pee break I took. Chaz Tank says, if I had a repair guy like that, got a small shop, but great people person and willing to help folks out with good info. Yeah, because, I think they understand also that not all the time it's the time to go out and fix. Sometimes they understand that you might have the knowledge and be good enough to fix it yourself. I should have emojis it instead of screwdriver. Oh, man. But, an Onco is good if you buy it from an Onco, that's for sure. I should wear diapers. No, I'm not going to wear diapers. I think 3 hours and a half after all the alcohol I drank isn't that bad of a of a time. Oh, man. I drink a little more tonight, yes. I've had more alcohol in 3 hours than many shows. Hey, Stray Cat is back. But an Onco is amazing. So, hey guys, we've been on for what, 3 hours and 30 minutes? I think it was fun. And I'm going to kind of relax a little bit. An Onco is super fast, Gang of Four. If you buy a radio there, you're going to get it in like 3 or 4 days. It's so quick. It is amazing. You actually wonder how they can do shipping so fast. It's crazy. Anything from an Onco is really fast. Don't forget, guys, the start of the new Texas Pirate Shortwave broadcast via WRMI with European pirates is coming up in less than 25 minutes on 5950 kilohertz via WRMI. So why not check out what's up tonight in European Pirates? I think that's going to be fun. So every Saturday evening, North America at 0 UT, technically Sunday, 5950 kilohertz. There will be a pirate broadcast every Saturday. I will, Vince, promise. Just a little busy because there's too many things happening, but I will absolutely let you know, Vince. And we'll talk about the PL990X. And maybe I'll have tips for you if you have questions on it also. But I will. So take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And see you Wednesday if you are around. And or else next Saturday. It was fun to have you here. And it's really cool to have all of you today. And it's always cool to sponsored by prostates all over the HF bands. Yes, Jason. Absolutely. It's a prostate world. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, and hope that you enjoyed the show today. Bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend, a nice long weekend in North America for Labor Day. And radio on. Listen to radio. I'll be listening tonight. I'll be posting in the Shortwave Facebook group what I'm listening to. So hope you're going to enjoy. Bye bye, everybody.